Thank you very much. We are now recording. I want to thank everybody for coming to the work session of the town of Georgetown Board of Selectmen in this August 11, 2026 at 5 p.m. Let's see. Look at the times. If you'll, I'm sorry. When you're going to do roll call, just for the work session, we don't need forum, or we want to know who it is. We are going to what? I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't know what they need.
Dwayne Kaczynski,
Where is,
Amanda Cooper, hi, Michael Huggins.
mine should be online. Do you see anybody online?
Let's see. Yes, Michael is online. I'll promote him panelist. Georgia Kofed,
Here.
Alex Sassoon, Rich Barrows, Mary Smith.
So you did see mine online, I'm sorry? Okay, great. No, Alex is here, and he's gonna give attendance like for our meeting. So the next meeting? It is 2 in September, you have to couple times. Yeah, no, that's okay. You're Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike. All right, very good. Nice to see you. All right, so first up, we have Mike Zemansky here, and we have a writing proposal which we got at this lovely wife online meeting or so ago. So Mike, take it away. Thank you.
Sure, so, about, just under a year ago, Jordan and I began kind of exploring what might be possible, in particular around bringing more tourism, more people, longer stays to Georgetown through a seasonal lighting experience. And then we began exploring what that might look like as a year-round experience. Over the past several months, we've worked with Dennis to create some options around that. Would it be helpful to cover sort of that basic idea again, or there was a request, at least now, there was a request to look at what sort of some purchase options would look like, as compared with the leasing.
So if anybody else. A quick review of what that guy was about, and then the new information tonight is included from the days.
Yes, wait, that's on video, you ready? Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Mike, you have this packet? Mike, you have the presentation? Are you muted?
Yes, I do have it.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
I hope you don't mind. I'll just.
No,
So the big idea is a layered, unique year-round experience in Georgetown that with lights that can change for the various seasons. And like why does that matter for Georgetown? It strengthens placemaking. It creates quality of experience, walkability, and it encourages tourism stays to extend and reduce leakage of visitors to town and increases community engagement. And the cool thing with these year-round color changing lights is it can move with the various seasons and adapt to the different events that you want to live. And our background and experience, I started the company about 11 years ago in Breckenridge, and we've come to really focus on how do we create a sense of place and unique opportunities for cities and towns and destination shopping centers to meet the goals of town through light and through other activations. So, and I think like Georgetown is really uniquely placed to take advantage of the position on the I-70 corridor. The beautiful historic setting was like a quintessential Colorado mountain town. And it has so much to offer to people the millions of people who pass by. And it's a huge opportunity to bring people into this setting and invite them into Georgetown. There's an existing holiday foundation that I think we can expand upon. And already the Georgetown Visitor Center is seeing about 500,000 visitors per year. And that's just a little stretch down the road. And what we've been asking ourselves through this process is how do we bridge those people into this more central historic part of town? Where local businesses can engage with visitors and really connect Georgetown to the transit. And so the opportunity is Georgetown can truly become a year-round destination, impacting tourism, the local economy, and building its civic identity around an invitation for people to arrive and become part of the civic traditions that we create. So the vision, color changing lights at the roundabout, and then west up Argentine, and that can attract visitors from the I-70 corridor and lead them to 6th Street. 6th Street would have traditional holiday feeling and year-round warm white lights. And you know that there are a few places that have like as historic classic of a look as the 6th Street corridor. And so I'm really excited to help transform that for visitors and also for the local community. And then a giant lit tree in City Park. And that could be the epicenter of tradition, gathering. It could become, and it would be the largest live Christmas tree or holiday tree in Colorado. And so I think that kind of naturally could create earned media, create media attention, and be a natural detour for people. And there's a lot of programming that could be built around. And you have all the reasons for that already. And then, you know, all this is tied together with community participation, resulting in increased tourism and Hollywood for Georgetown. And so we've broken this project down into 5 phases. Phase 1 would be year-round lighting on 6th Street. Phase 2 would be year-round lighting on the Argentine corridor and roundabout. And that's really sort of those 2 pieces are sort of the core of bringing people from the I-70 corridor through the roundabout, past the visitor center and into the 6th Street corridor. And then phase 3 would be more of seasonal lighting on the 6th Street corridor, and both seasonal lighting and also decor. So we're really creating that holiday feel in the downtown area. And then phase 4 would be in the City Park area around the gazebos and the giant tree. And then phase 5 would be holiday decor down Argentine. And so the phases kind of the first 2 phases we would be looking at doing together. And that would be the year-round community experiences. So phase 1, downtown 6th Street, warm white tree lighting. And then phase 2 that would be included would be the roundabout with the color changing lights, as well as the color changing lights on Argentine. And so with that, in the roundabout and along Argentine, we could create different color patterns for the different holidays. You could have Valentine's themes with reds and pinks and whites. During the holiday season, it could be multicolored or it could be traditional warm white. So a lot of options. You could do green for St. Patrick's Day. So there are many different celebrations that you can follow with these lights. And for 4th of July that week or in the weeks leading up to it, it could be red, white, and blue. And so it's really just a way of both guiding people in the way they move through town and also providing a pop for visitors. And it also becomes a destination and experience that you can begin building other programming around. And then, yeah, I've talked briefly and you've already heard a little bit about the other phases, but kind of phase 3 would be introducing sort of a classic Christmas, classic holiday experience on 6th Street with garland and bows and really to create the richness of the experience, both daytime as well as nighttime. And that would be garland on the buildings as well as on the lamp posts and then since we would be impacting it, we could also work with local businesses if they wanted their own holiday lighting for their shops. We could do that at a discounted rate. And then also create something that is very coherent throughout town. And we've done this in other places, like in Breckenridge and Estes Park, where we both collaborate with the town, the visitor programming, as well as local businesses. Yeah. And so, and I talked a little bit about kind of a possible vision for City Park and what that could look like around the Lottie Sylvan holiday tree and then in phase 6 there could also be decor along the lampposts of Argentine as well. So really what we tried to do is create a phased approach that would allow sort of the program to build over time and allow sort of activities to be built up around what's being created. Great, yeah. And then we broke down the pricing into both lease pricing as well as purchase price. So in the lease pricing, we provide all of the equipment and the maintenance, sort of everything's included. It's basically lighting as a service. And so you can see the different phases broken down, and so these would be annual costs for the program. Phase, you can see for phase 1 through phase 5, the different pricing levels. And then, sometimes we have clients, I would say that the leasing model is typically how we operate. However, we do have some clients at times that want to purchase lights because sometimes it's easier to have an upfront expense rather than sort of have it spread over multiple years and sort of be able to get a fixed capital budget to support the project. And so you can see the purchase price here. And that would include all sort of initial maintenance, but then ongoing maintenance, there would be an hourly charge for that. And so the purchase price includes all lights, the design, the installation, and then training for 1 or more people from town staff to understand how to change the color changing lights. So we would do all the training in that, so that anytime that you wanted a change of the lights, you could program it in-house. And then, obviously we would make sure that everything's up and running, how you like it, and yeah, any sort of initial maintenance is included, and then once everything's up and running, then maintenance would be charged out like in the coming years at an hourly.
And with dark sky too, I think, Michael, that's the lighting is dark sky.
Yeah, so there are several different requirements for dark sky, and one is sort of the orientation of the bulbs, and so. And then also there's a seasonal carve out for dark sky. And then also we've worked with other cities and towns to have lights on timers, so you can choose when all the lights are going off. So that's something that we do with the town of Brecken. This past year, we do about 18 linear miles of lights in the town of Breckenridge. And all of those are on a timer system now, so that they're no longer linked to when the street lights go on and off. We have those shut, all the lights turn off at a earlier time.
Any questions?
I think we brought this up last time, maybe your wife. Phase 4, the giant tree kind of took care of itself and the gazebo. It fell on the gazebo and the gazebo has not been
The city park
built yet.
Yeah,
But
fell
so
down.
that phase, I probably,
Not the video, it's video. Right, some of the oldest urban towers.
well, and I know that there are two large trees that, so we may be able to use the other one. But
depending where it is in the park.
but yeah,
And then the other question was, like, if we wanted to do phase 1 this year and to see how it works, are we available, like, for the year-round lighting on 6th Street? Yeah, is that something, and then, I guess the other question for Dennis is how does this fit into our budget this year? If we did phase 1.
It doesn't, I mean, don't have a budget for it. We would have like plan for that. And that would be a tall order, I think, because in my experience, the lead time is pretty significant with ordering lights, unless Michael has readily access to all these right now. If you choose to do phase 1 without phase 2, it's gonna make it a lot easier to afford and also to implement before Christmas.
So we could just do phase 1 before Christmas. We have that in the budget, we bring the budget 45.
We have around 30 feet down
You're
here.
fine.
What would happen though if we just did one? Meaning what happens when we don't all of it? That goes into phase 3. Which, and that was one of my questions, is that phase 3 only lighting the 4th and 6th Street is the 20,450. But I also thought lights just changed. Once it sounded like you were saying lights, so I wasn't clear on like what, and I'm sure that there's, yeah, like, so you want to elaborate on that.
yeah, definitely. Point one, so we would have the capability to do phase 1 and phase 2 from a material standpoint, material and labor standpoint this year. In terms of if you wanted to focus on the 6th Street corridor, so what we're currently proposing is warm white lights that are not color changing. Just to be kind of more of a classic warm white year-round color. And like in particular, kind of with the historic nature of 6th Street. We just thought something warm white and classic would be more of a fit. We could definitely design out what color changing lights would look like on 6th Street. And then we could also do phase 1 and phase 3, which would be a focus on the 6th Street corridor with both lighting as well as decor. I think so that's definitely a possibility to kind of create that full experience, or we could just do phase 1 for the 6th Street corridor. I think the goal with phase 2 is really to see how we can bring traffic from I-70 as well as the visitor center into town.
I just, for $86,000, it seems like maybe we should, if we're gonna find that kind of money, maybe we should put it into making that corridor look better before we let it.
Yeah, I think we're on phase.
I'm not just-
I
I didn't sort of,
don't think it's required.
it ain't ready.
Six, potentially, this is obviously not, I'll be on the right now. I think if we looked at it for 2027, the trees were a little insured. And the park was done and the street lines went smoothly. And some of the stuff down there, I think it'd be incredible to do it, and I'm not against doing it,
Right.
I just don't see us having the money. Or the readiness to get it done effectively.
And you're talking about years too.
Correct, they like 6,000, that's just me.
Yeah.
And again, maybe Dennis has secret pile of money somewhere, he hasn't told us, but I don't think so.
Well, as we've been talking about this, it's been in my head that we need to be doing something to implement it 27.
Okay.
So that gives us time to budget properly for it through the process. We can do phase 1 and phase 2 in 2027. We will also be we already started this, but putting together an internal comparison for you. If we were to just say, oh, we're gonna go to Walmart and buy white lights and then have the staff go put it up. What's the cost to the town for that kind of minimalist approach? Because I think that's an important piece of information for you to have. So trying to get this all organized for 2026. Because I guess, let me back a little bit, this isn't Christmas dependent. Right, these are permanent ambience light that we're going to try to create. We still also do have to consider what we're going to do with our Christmas lighting going forward, because as I've complained to many of you already, the lighting and lights and the garland are so old that they're falling apart as the guys are taking them down, taking them back up. So my recommendation, if the board is still interested in this, is to proceed with Michael and Elizabeth aiming for a FY 27 rollout, assuming that the budget can be worked out to pay for this in the fall, when we're gonna start that budget process in September.
So are we saying then that the phase 1, if we did a phase 1 and just say, because that phase 1 is wrapping the 11 Aspens on 6th Street. And and that's really what that is, right? It's all the 11 Aspens at the library park and Star Park, I'm thinking that's where we're talking about, right? So if we did that, we could do that, that would be a possibility to be done this year. Michael's saying to get the lights, and you were saying we can come up with the 33,000, if we wanted to start with that and get for it.
Certainly, but also keep in mind that about the same time that Mike was putting up these lights on the Aspens, the town is putting up all the Christmas lights.
Right.
For the Christmas holiday, so we would be eliminating some lights in our Christmas plan that we did last year. The Aspens and the trees in Library Park and the library and the Strauss Park tree, so.
Well, the big tree in Strauss Park, we could still light the Christmas lights, right?
Right.
Pine tree, yeah.
So, to me, the smart and fiscally responsible way to do it would be to wait until the next fiscal year starts to implement phase 1 and 2 together.
Yeah.
As opposed to starting with phase 1 and then going through the budget process and saying, okay, we're not gonna do phase. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I'm just wondering, because to me, it would be nice to get 6th Street lit, it's so cute.
It's easier to sell like public than on the rest of it.
That's what
When I think program stuff, I'll do something as a pilot and you do it well. And then it's easier to get folks to buy into it, because it's like, oh, it's gonna take a little more than to do phase 2. What do you think? And if they see that there's excellent results for that overlay of 33,000, it's easier to get them to see the benefit of it.
I don't think so too, Amanda, did you have that, okay, this is Smokey Anderson here, who's here, did you have a comment or somebody like saying,
I have a question or a couple of questions. One in particular, how much do you have to increase sales? So that the sales tax pays for this?
0.
Oh, it doesn't, you don't need to increase sales downtown to pay for this.
well, we're
And
looking
you can
at
find
free that sales.
you
will
can
increase.
find what was your total figure?
It depends on.
What was the total figure?
To buy it? You mean, which figure? There's
The leasing one,
Smokey or the purchase?
So I think it's what, $250,000?
Yeah.
I think the leasing, not purchase, yeah.
Yeah, so $250,000. You need to find that money somehow in your budget, in order to find that your budget, you have to increase seconds. Maybe you don't, maybe you got $250,000 of excess help or something. Anyway, you gotta do that. I would say that the comment about $500,000 or 500,000 people going through the visitor center. Those hours are prior to almost exclusively daylight hours, not at nighttime, so the lights don't really affect the people involved in that in town. I mean,
I think-
I'm an old fashioned guy, right? I'm very much an old fashioned guy because I think simple and simply is far better than extravagant. And I do feel that way. I feel that what your crew did and the town crew did last year for Christmas was extraordinary. I thought that the improvement over a couple of previous years and just the tidiness and taking, a little bit more personal pride in what they were doing was fabulous. Effect. And I don't know, I'm just trying to voice an opinion here and raise a few questions that I think are very viable and questionable. One thing in particular is I think it's a 4-foot snowflake on top of all those lamp posts. All those lamp posts, of course, were not designed to have something like that in our terrific winds. So I would ask, wonder about what you're gonna do for those, because we have enough trouble maintaining those lights and keeping them functional. They do break even under the stress of our winds normally. So absolutely say, absolutely, no, don't do that one, absolutely. And then, dark sky. I think our dark sky ordinance probably pretty much is on installation and not later, and not being, oh, well, it has to be dark sky at midnight or something like that. Maybe our visitors want to look at the dark sky. They might want to do it before midnight and they're already in bed. So, some quick comments
Thank
and
you.
some thoughts, and I'll let it go at that.
Well, no, I think they're good. Thank you very much for helping and making your comments. It all matters. It's really important. Amanda, I think there's something.
I do, and Smokey, those are really thoughtful comments, I don't disagree, but I want to point out. The only place that we can increase sales tax is it. We're maxed out there. We can't get any more people in this town in the daytime, like during our high season. Where we have an opportunity for sales tax revenue is at night to pay for this. So it's kind of a
Restaurants, couple of restaurants.
Exactly, we need restaurants.
Everything else is closed at 5 o'clock.
Exactly, but in order for restaurants to here. Right now, restaurants are skittish of this area, the 6th Street area, and I know this from experience. People I know who are operators they don't feel that they have a shot to make it at night. That's kind of the announcement. And so we do need restaurants. Restaurants are gonna draw a night light. I'm not saying this is the right solution at all, but I think you have to, it's like a chicken and egg thing.
Harder for the horse.
Yes, but we have to make downtown more attractive, so we don't have the leakage we have for overnight visitorship and for people. Because right now, we're great. I can attest from 11 to 4. I am on a 45-minute to an hour wait every single day. At 4 o'clock, my wait wanes, and I have people standing around right now looking at each other, looking for something. And we're 6 days a week. So we see the trends and we see numbers. Our lunches are consistently up. We know we're losing sales tax revenue, and it's restaurants are the thing that need to be down here, but we have to give them a little bit of reassurance too that we're not staying with the need, and I think we got to find them.
I think we need to find some ways to use this money to entice a restaurateur
We have
to come in there. When you're sitting there
Yeah.
at a prime place that doesn't need any of these lights, and you still can't go to your tables and you
Not at night.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on that?
It seemed to be that, like I know a lot of folks, they'll even come from my house room, Vermont, to see the lights on the train at 6:30.
Yeah.
Nothing might be open down here, but they go up there and sit in the parking lot to see those lights, and they did not, the train did not all of a sudden come up with all the lights
No.
in one season.
No, right.
They built that. Yeah, project up, and now it's a destination even for locals to go, goes, and that's why. If we're gonna take a look at it, and there's a budgetary way to do phase one and to see if it has some impact. Then you could approach it for expansion, if it's helping,
What if?
if it's showing business, you should put money into them,
So let me throw this, out.
but.
What if we? So, if we do color lights last year on Sixth Street or one. They were white. What if we left them up until? March 30th? Our own roots. Were
You
they
got it on for April, I think.
up to like the last year, so we didn't want until for last year?
Yeah.
What if we left them up for summer?
Well, that's what I think the discussion is. So one of the things at night.
And then we can look at, from the holiday stuff, from the 27th, but I think that if Argentine has more. Things and has things are more mature, because I think your proposal is really, really classy, I love it, I'm concerned about money, number one, biggest is money. Which is everyone's concern all the time, everywhere. But if we kept the lights up through. September 1st. And try to use it, our own lights, as a way to attract a restaurant person. But we, and show them that we are investing in the downtown, but we're also limited, we can't just like, somebody $100,000 and say, oh, it's this here. But yeah, it's not the way that we have to use the tool in front of us, like our sales tax rates and our, CC, EBC connections, and that's how we get somebody here, like, they have to, somebody's gotta have $1 million to sit on.
Well, and also I want to point out that the restaurants, Mountain Moms and 511 are open.
That's true.
Going fun, so Jay's on 6.
I don't think so.
Like Five Tails. No, I mean, it's not in.
No, but
It's not in. Well, let's count what we do.
They know.
And then what the other idea was on Sixth Street was that it would be visible at night. So when people were driving down I-70, they could see it at night and go, oh, there's not there. Because even doing sport, there are so many people, oh, we're driven by this town so many times and now we just saw, read about some more, we read about the town. And now we're here and it's great. So it is a chicken and the egg with people, restaurants, investors, how do you make all that happen? So to me, the idea of getting the lights on 6, a professional lighting, however this board decides to move forward. For this discussion purposes for this work session, I think this is really a great idea. And I definitely think it's important to get us looking professional and lit up and warm and, inviting. Like we do, to your point and to Smokey's point, look attractive for visitors, and that's what the ultimate goal is too.
We already put up clear lights last year, and our clear lights need to be replaced. And we're gonna do clear lights again this year, and maybe, that maybe that's some.
This proposal has an option that includes the lights that extend from the roundabout down Argentine to it. Let's not forget, look at our sales tax revenue. Yep. Every time we're in this room, where does the bulk of our sales tax revenue come from? It isn't.
No,
Unfortunately, it's not clear, and but we're attacking the entirety.
Correct.
And so we're getting a lot of revenue from that part of town.
Yeah. You're 100% right.
So let's not neglect what lighting, if we choose to do lighting, can bring to the town if it's running further along Argentine from north to south. And by the way, we're not east west yet, we're north south. I mean, this is very good. So they're not talking about here when you say east. And then that could also bring us, so when we're talking about restaurants, it's your restaurant, it's Cabin Creek, it's the activities that go on down by the lake. During the winter season, when perhaps the lights are going to be more visible than right now, when nothing is open here. So we have to think outside the box because of the uniqueness of our town, where our money's coming from.
I love
Where
where
we're
it's going.
targeting.
Right. I just wanted to.
So-
For Argentine. specific.
So I'm thankful we don't have to make a decision now, to your point, this is the work session, and we really appreciate, Mike for being here. If we have any other questions for Michael, let's wrap this up. Do you have another item on our work session agenda?
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Is there any, in the proposal, is there any attachment to the existing structures of the buildings outside of the Sixth Street?
No, not current.
Okay.
You gotta be careful about conservation easements and protections.
That's right, absolutely, and the height and the editing, all the, and those dams, we know how those dams are.
Right across the street, you know, they're, you know. They've got rules and regulations.
All right, then it's like,
I just wanted to be clear on a couple of points, and that's, mostly responding to what Smoking brought up, there are excellent points. This does not in any way, consider a sales tax rate increase. Of course, we hope that it results in an increase in sales tax revenue.
Yes.
And that's the whole point of doing this, but the other comment that was made, that this is the chicken and egg. This is not the solution, this is not the solution to reinvigorated Sixth Street. But in my experience, there are two things going on. You have, in a commercial district, somebody's looking for a property that is either compressed or on a discount, so that they can purchase it and then have the financial wherewithal to invest in it. And Amanda, you know this, if you're gonna build, if you're gonna fill a space with a new restaurant, it's $2 million. It's $2.5 million to start up the gate. So those things are very important, but the other main project, the other main piece of information is what's the traffic.
that's right.
And so somebody says, I'm gonna open up a restaurant, they wanna know how many people to the minute are coming into the town. And at what time, what the seasons are gonna do for them, and if you tell them that, you know, January through June is, you know, we're lucky if we get 10 people walking the street. In the evening on Sixth Street, they're not gonna look any further, they're done, that's it, so. We have to look at as many possible ideas as we can come up with and help Sixth Street. Mike, who's on Zoom, he's talking about a gateway statement to help draw people beyond the roundabout. This is no different, this is a way to get people, instead of following the roundabout all the way around, stopping and looking down and seeing that trail of light that's gonna take them to Sixth Street. So I think it's very important to understand that there's different economic development priorities here. And then finally, I had one more. Oh, the number of 500,000 visitors at the visitor center is clearly not, we're gonna go get 500,000 people that stop into the visitor center, now they're gonna drive down here. But what it is indicative of the huge traffic numbers that we have going by on I-70, that if we could get 10% of that to travel down to Sixth Street, our sales tax revenue would grow exponentially. Yeah. Next topic, so and I think I have two things on my action item list tonight, and that's how to pay for phase one and phase two. But also, what is the sales tax trend look like if we were to say we can attract 10% more visitors to Sixth Street, or 20%, and if that money that we anticipate could potentially be used to earmark or something like this. So those are my two things. If there's anything else you think that you want me to research, I'll be glad to do that.
I think we need to look at Amanda's suggestion of using some of the existing lighting and keeping it during our mud season or whatever it is, starting in January.
Just the clear ones, they're not the wreaths, like maybe the wreaths can come down
Yeah,
Right.
we got,
in March.
all right, well, thank you.
We wanted them on business promotions and made the recommendation, they stay up to spring break. The gardens comes down, the boats come down, the Christmas comes down, but the lights stay up. So, and that, it's been accomplished to a degree, but it's been a little bit with a hiccup. So, well, we think we could become more consistent for like a test run. this year, if we're preparing for that.
I think that would be a good baseline for us to utilize to try to do our own sort of short terms, due diligence, exactly.
All right, well, thank you. Let's move on to our next topic on our work.
Thank you so much.
Right. Yeah, and that was, wait a minute. Watch. All right, second item up is the leaf being tracked as management. We have a big handout, which is, well, Ben said, I must speak loudly because it's good. And on the back, they're gonna see that. Which was that new?
This is me. Hey, so yes, you do have a very large handout in front of you. It's large because there is a map on the back, but it is difficult to show clearly without making it quite big. As you remember, last year, I think, had a resounding success with our traffic management plan. We talked to a lot of business owners and residents. Most people were very happy with it. We took some notes from some of the businesses specifically along the Argentine border. And this year, instead of directing people one way on Argentine and then one way on the roads from 7 all the way to 15, we have changed that traffic pattern to be 2-way on Argentine the entire way, 1 way on the road streets from 7th to 11th, where Sasha's is, and then we'll be redirecting them back onto Argentine so that they have an opportunity to pass the businesses along Argentine. And that still keeps our entrance and exit on the roundabout to just 2 places for the visitors. As you remember, the important thing with the traffic plan is making sure the roundabout is one, so minimizing people entering from all directions. So it'll just be coming off the highway, going down and then getting back onto the highway from the Argentine entrance. There will be local access only, as indicated on the map there. I removed the one at Argentine and 6th, with the intent of having a person there directing traffic, but letting people go through the park. Last year, the visitors were actually very, very, very respectful of our locals only signage and barricades. So we didn't give people manning some of the barricades that I thought people might try to sneak around. They really just follow directions, which was great. So I'm not so worried about like 14th and Rose was a big one that I was concerned about. But people they follow directions, which is great. Same thing with the 22nd Street barricade. People saw the sign and they turned around and there's not a huge need for anybody to do anything about them. So
The first one, I was out there and we did the leaves out there and that helped for that first one. And it kind of trained people because their GPS was telling them that it was quicker to go around through the neighborhoods. And so I had a few people that weren't happy about it. But I would still consider at least on your busy times manning that station because folks, when it was back up on the highway, it was back up everywhere. And so a lot of people came up. No, Argentina or whatever was the Artist Road because it was backed up on the highway and so their idea was, oh, well, just go in behind Georgetown and get in that way.
Right.
And it just created more
so
chaos.
it's okay.
I'm
It's how
still-
people see through. The important thing with the barricades is to stop most, if people get through, that's fine, as long as it's not enough that it's causing traffic problems. We want people who are visiting their friend in town to be able to get through easily. If you want to stop and you say park for a minute, hey, if you want to go to Sasha's, we're going to let you come in the park. We're not trying to stop people that are trying to stay in town for some reason from getting through the barricades and visiting. Last year, we're really focused on being pretty strict about that. And this year, we're going to try relaxing that a little bit, friendlier with that signage, specifically at the 11th and Rose, where we're turning people back from Argentine. If they want to go to Sasha's, and also on 6th Street, as they're coming off of Guanella or coming out of the loop, making sure that they understand they can keep going on 6th Street, they can keep going on Rose Street, and for instance, the shops. So we're using locals and shopper access only. It's with those locations, those people remain locals only. But at the 11th and Rose Streets and the 6th, well, there will be there to be on 6th Street, but. Yeah, just making sure that people understand that if they want to stop, they can stop.
So at 11th and Rose, there's a barricade. On Rose for, that I think would be in front of Sasha's, wouldn't that be in front of Sasha's?
Yes.
So does she want?
Sasha was not happy with us directing people past her business last year, so we're trying different traffic patterns this year. We will not stop people from going past,
It's
like going to Sasha's.
It's a local access barrier.
It'll say local on the top.
Go
They
to-
want either her stuff, like.
That's local access. Yes, so then-
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Shopper.
Okay.
So people can go through and park there. if they want.
So when people come down Argentina, they're heading downtown,
Mhm.
and then they're gonna make a left onto 6th. And then normally they would make a right on Rose and go up to Guanella.
That
That's
was
still the pattern.
It's the only way to get to one.
That's right, I understand. And then coming back down, they would go to 7th, they can continue if they head north and if they want to do something else.
Yep.
Okay. How do you ways to get to Guanella though, if we go back to our, we say, if people are coming up Argentina because suddenly is slow and they know it to come up.
The
Front
GPS
end,
tells them.
They're going to turn down 22nd Street.
Because there's a meeting,
Around to
they're reading where the-
come up street. So you are going to have that traffic and if something will happen on 70 where we know. Something's gonna happen. It always does, you know, the lights will go out. There'll be an accident, 70 will back up, everybody will come up on frontage. And so how do we, is there still a plan to have some signage down at Quick or at Argentina Alvarado or whatever you want to call it, on Second Street?
Yes, they're.
Okay,
Yeah, I just wasn't planning on putting a person down there. If we find that people aren't respecting that, we can put someone down there to stop that if it happens. What I heard from other volunteers was that people saw the sign turn around and there was no interaction. This is like, there was a couple people who did talk to the person stationed there, but most people saw the sign just turn. So,
A lot of them local. Some where.
yeah, I like it.
There was a wedding party, and that directed them to, because they were coming to one of the restaurants, and I'm like, yeah, please, come on through, you know, but. And then another call to like, how come they get to go through, because they're getting married to them.
So, we're just thought. So that the one segment of roads that is super duper congested and I'm trying to read this right. The area between 6th and 5th, when it's super bad because of the parking on one side.
you're blocking the parking spots there.
Okay,
But I'm to the chagrin of certain.
I was about to say, I know it's gonna upset people, but it's impossible at this point.
It's
You can't, that's one and one, I mean, like, I drive them, I mean, that's not home, but right down from the gate.
Yeah.
And I had to sit the other day for like 10 cars, and people were behind me on 6, and I was like, come on, you know?
The other thing that's kind of been tangible is. I mean, standing at the corner watching these vehicles go by, a good majority of them are oversized vehicles for people that want to go up past.
Exactly.
And they can't make that turn even if it's just one of them. So,
Stop people way back just so they can get.
yeah.
It's a definite show point. It's barely good for 2 cars to parking. I mean, it's really, so no, I understand that, but I think the flow is better than last year.
But you're talking about the 11th Street flow, and I get it. One of the things that I think made it work last year, you did a little bit job on, is not utilizing the stop signs.
Yes, they're covering many stop signs.
Yeah, not, there was, you know, instead of having people stop.
There's no.
Well, yes, right. Rolling.
Kind of flows.
It's like doors, we want people not people to stop, so like, we're gonna make it clear.
Groups are located, but we will be blocking the stop sign at the on ramp for I-70. As people are exiting town, that's the stop sign that will be covered. We'll be blocking the stop sign at 11 Rose. We want people to be flowing left and then right onto Argentine there. We'll probably keep the stop signs at 6 rows. Just because there are multiple entries there that will be directing 3 different sort of situations, so.
Hopefully you have some pedestrian traffic, because remember, even though we want traffic to flow, we also want traffic to.
We want to stop and shop and to park and
In the neighborhood, and we want to go shopping, but. Without the shop, flow and go.
And it's also signage that will say like, visit us, like a marketing plan for people as they're entering town in both directions. You know, giving them some fun things to.
Parking area designated so that they can easily see.
Yeah, parking is part of this signage plan you have in front of you, so that we use some of those parking signs during Colorado Day and we'll be.
those were great. Yeah, and that was a really good fix, I think, and a really good solve, and yeah, and these same things, that's really super helpful, I think.
We also are gonna be purchasing like large readable signs that say like Georgetown Loop, Guanella Pass,
Yeah,
Georgetown Lake, you know, things that, those are the 3
and
things.
historic downtown there.
Yeah, those are the big things that people were asking us about. Stuff.
Well, thank you, this is great, does anybody have any more questions on this, Rich, you want to, there's some.
This is great, but having went through this with, fire department and the
Yes.
sheriff's department.
Yeah.
So that they all signed up for it.
Former chief Fabian was part of the team that went through this series on through. We also are looking for somebody that might be interested in dressing up like a hot dog to hold the sign. Does anybody do?
Get Mike, maybe if you're. There you go. Mike, I forgot about you, do you have any comments or questions on this?
No, I'm all right. But there is someone who lost their fantasy last year that's supposed to be in a hot dog costume, so we could probably have them do that.
All right. Thank you.
One other thing that we did try to do last year, because it was the first year that we really took an aggressive approach of my first facility that. So we hired officers from Colorado State Patrol. We had one day that we had somebody from, I got to bring police members help us out. And I have to admit, we were very disappointed in the response we got. So, because they weren't reliable, and when they were there, we expected them to be to a certain time, and they. One day they were gone early, and the other day they were here late, so. We think with the huge turnout that we got from the volunteer group, I mean, there were a lot of people that wanted to be part of this. We think we can grow that a little bit and handle all of their key choke points that we need to reach volunteers in town. We're gonna have volunteer T-shirts that you commemorate your service in town with. So we think it could become kind of a town celebration as well.
And I'm not attached to people here that have suggestions. That's
Don't say that's a Georgia.
Speaking really,
So just on the, like, keeping timeline according to the, like, is, the 22nd to 29th because of the. Because.
We've been checking it every day. No one is really planning to a time. So they're saying like 10 days early, but.
So we want it to be ready.
Yeah.
So that when we have to spring into action, we can fill the dates in on this thing, set them, send the mailer out, and then we got our volunteer sons and the whole thing.
you
Five.
have that more question. Do you have a plan to do like a volunteer orientation? A couple days before or weeks before, maybe at the community center and then pass out your paper shirts or whatever? Or is that way you kind of know what you got? And some people that are really on it, but you like, I want to be here, I could just walk outside my door and. Really lawn share.
I think it is fun. It is one more session is over. Our regular session starts at 6:00. You?
I don't think we should do the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today is Tuesday, August 11th, at 6 P M, and this is the regular meeting for the Georgetown Board of Selectmen. And so we will now have roll call. Bridget, will you be roll call, please?
Georgia Kofan,
Here.
Mike Huggins,
Here.
Amanda Cooper,
Here.
Alex Sassoon.
Here.
Dwayne Gazinski. Mary Smith, Rich Barrows.
Thank you very much. And just as a reminder, the owl here is very hard of hearing. So when you have something to say, couldn't be very clear, we have Mike Huggins online. Is anyone else online, Bridget? If we have
Greg Starrett is online.
okay. Thank you, and that way it's just easier for everyone to hear. Thank you very much. All right, so we have an agenda in front of us to be approved. A corrected agenda was passed out to you exactly at the place when you sat down. It corrected the dates for the two payable reports and also the numbers for the two ordinances. So do I have a motion to approve? Are there any changes or other corrections to the agenda for tonight's meeting? All right, very good. You have a motion to approve the agenda as current of the one presented tonight.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dwayne. Second. Thank you, Amanda. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The agenda is approved. We have a public comment period, and we have some people from the public here today. And so members of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on topics not on the agenda. Written letters be acknowledged but not read aloud. Comments on the agenda items can be submitted prior to the meeting via email. I know that we have some people here who would like to make comments prior to an agenda item. Is that correct? Or do you want to wait until the agenda item and then comment? You're here for an item on the agenda, right?
Ordinance number.
Okay, yes.
I don't know if I'm necessarily against that, since it was from like a question about, like, I guess it is technically until.
The item number 7.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We will wait. We do not have any presentations this evening. Do you have payables for review in front of you? The first payable period is July 24 to July 30. Any questions on that? I had a quick question here. The police services, it's 10/54/350. I know I was signing the checks. I signed a check to the sheriff's office and it included a prepayment, but I didn't see an invoice for the prepayment or interest.
So, the sheriff's office hired the Georgetown deputies mid-quarter, which we pay ahead of time. So there is a true up at the end of the quarter for the 2 deputies' expense, and as you'll remember in the idea, I think it's like 52,730 per deputy. So in the latest invoice that came to us, it showed the true cost. And then it showed the new prepaid cost for the next quarter, which resulted in a total of 176.
So it was in the invoice, but I didn't see it.
There should have been a true up number for the previous quarter.
And plus the one on it.
Correct.
All right, I didn't see one on it. All right, that was my only question. Any other questions on this pay period? All right, very good. The second payables period is July 31 through August 5. Any questions on that? I just have a question, there's 2 of that payable, page 14 on the agenda. The last item, the water capital improvement fund, why are we paying for a traffic assessment out of that from? In here. $3,770 and the Aldrich, that's exactly, no, but then, a water traffic assessment? No, it said the invoice said 631 traffic assessment.
Yes, when we did the one-way transition, we hired Haley Aldrich to review the traffic flow plan to make sure it was safe. With the idea that we would also do a 1 year plus follow-up on, how it was working out. So we also partnered with the sheriff, with, the Clear Creek County Planning Department, where we had counters out there on different intersections. And all that data was dumped in here with Aldrich, and they completed that and then submitted us an invoice 6 months later, and when they completed the project. This needs to be reassigned to this general expense in the administrative cost, because it's not, these are the related expense.
Okay, so I appreciate that clarification, and then also, would you forward to us the. Assessment study so that we can see.
Yep.
So, sorry, where was this moving to?
General fund.
Okay. And so it came up that maybe our last meeting or the meeting prior, how are we, this board, able to track when those changes are made? So that it's reflected in a timely fashion, other than when we get the 6 month review like we have later in this packet, and then. Numbers of it. Because I think this one's out into the universe. You say it's corrected and. George, I'd like to see a corrected payable.
Yeah.
That's fine, however you, it's a simple thing. Thank you. All right, thank you. Any other questions on the tables? All right, thank you. Next item up for approval are the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes in here, June 23rd. We have all corrections been made. I don't know if you were looking at those. And June 23rd, yeah, all corrections have been made. Thank you, that I can move to approve the June 23rd minutes. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rick. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Thank you. Those minutes are approved. The next set of minutes is July 14th. I got the corrected set. I haven't had a chance to compare them again, so can we table the approval of these minutes until I have a chance to check them against my corrections? Sure, I'll make a motion to table the July 14th.
That's because.
Thank you, and all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Before we proceed, can we take a piece of audience business from Cindy?
I'm sorry?
Before we proceed to the action items, can we do a piece of audience business from Cindy?
I'm sure that we can, Cindy, thank you. And just if you could speak up for the owl, that would be great, thank you.
Yes, I apologize. I could not ration in the first 3 minutes after 6 o'clock. They have got to be on audience business.
We're very.
Very briefly, I am here, to give just a bit of background on what is happening for historic preservation on the national level. I don't know, what you may have read or not read. Historic preservation is implemented across the country through the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966. And in the section 106, which is the thing that people talk about, is the way it is implemented by federal agencies across the country. The rules for implementing section 106 currently indicate that if any federal agency is doing a project, permitting a project, or financing a project, they have to look around and see what historic and cultural places that they will be impacted. And they have to determine whether those impacts will add to the market first. And then they must conduct a discussion with the state historic preservation office and the local agencies. This is the way the town of Georgetown has, for the last 60 years, achieved the seat at the table, is through the section 106 process. What is now being proposed on a national level is to make that process at their own discretion. That, in other words, not to make it mandatory. To tell the federal agencies that are identified things but they don't have to go through any form of consultation process if they don't choose to. And you might wonder if that impacts the town of Georgetown. It does. I did a little memo that I will hand out to you if you need to look at that later. We have the proud history of being the first 106, section 106, consultation back in 1967, 1 year after it was, passed. And that particular consultation, Excel was proposing, well, they needed to put in a high power line to Henderson. And we all agreed they needed to do that, but they were proposing large steel mill poles running right down 7th Street across and right across the mountain on the west side of the highway. And through the consultations never end projects, they may just adjust them. We came up with the wooden poles solution, which now is standardized. And more lately, we had another wonderful one with FEMA, who was going to harden the sides of our creek by taking out log cribbing and giving us concrete, fixing cribbing by giving us concrete all the way through town, and consultations sort of said, we need to have a log book on it, and so as you look at creeks, sort of imagine we do this concrete tunnels. At the moment, section 106 is the basis for our consultation with Excel about the meeting.
So that's what the hydro team and all that.
The hydro team is largely based on that. So what the various people like the National Trust and people like Vista Colorado are asking people affected by it to take some form of position on it. This board a long time ago had indicated that the Design Review Commission should be the agency for the certified local government, and we are a certified local government. We like to do that process. And so at our meeting on Thursday night, our commission will put together a position statement, which will come back to you at your next meeting. I'm doing this in advance, so you have a little time to think about how you think about that.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Cindy. We appreciate that. We like your thinking.
Yeah. You made this in there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Cindy.
No, the next time I'll be on time.
Well, we started.
Punctual.
Thank you, your time, not long time. So it's a little bit different. Thank you. All right, very good. So moving on to our action items. Number 1 is consideration of commission of comments. Dennis, or are you speaking to this?
So it's pretty straightforward. We have recommended a recommendation to appoint Angela Messing to become an alternate on their DPC. And then as a result of their resignations of Mr. Wellbaum and Mr. Owen, we're recommending that the current alternate to the Parks Commission, Beth Sample, be promoted to a full-time member of the Parks Commission.
Can I bring up again at this time, and this was an item at our last meeting's discussion about this board recognizing the resignations of the different, so can we just put the cart before the horse or the horse before the cart, and can we accept those resignations so that we see that we have these openings so that we can start on that pathway?
Yes, and this must be my fault because I do not understand the direction of the board saying that there should be an action item on the agenda to accept the resignation of volunteer commission members. But we did try to indicate that in the action by noting that Mr. Wellbaum and Mr. Owen have resigned from the Park Commission, resulting in this recommended action. If the board would like there to be a separate action item, that's fine too. I misunderstood that.
So we need to amend the agenda, go and talk backwards and forwards, so we amend the motion, and we just add, if we amend the agenda to accept the resignations, then we can add that as an item, then we can proceed with this, so that,
Or can we do 2 motions, Jerry?
You're pointing the
Yeah.
most. Yeah, you can just point into the motion to the point. The motion is hereby accept the resignation of
the next from the sort of commission. And the person why to said commission. When you're down low,
Yeah, let's do that.
you don't have to amend the agenda or anything, it's just. I think very informational, but,
Thank you.
and I say also that. Resignations are effective when someone resigns, if we don't have. Indentions to it too, in the country, and if I don't want to be on something and I resign. I cannot be compelled, I have resigned, I cannot be compelled to stay there until my resignation.
We can make you do it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. So any other questions on this, any other thoughts? Okay, would someone like to, first let's deal with the BPC, that would be the, is there an official resignation from the BPC that needs to be acknowledged?
So,
No, okay, so all we need to do for the BPC is move it to appoint Angela Messing to the BPC. So moved. As an alternate, thank you. Was that Amanda? Yes. Thank you. Second. Mary? Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right, very good. And now we need a motion to accept the resignation of Mr. Wellbaum and Mr. Owen from the Parks Commission. And then appoint Beth Sample as the alternate, as a full member of the Parks Commission. Second. Mary and Amanda, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, agenda item number 2 is consideration of ordinance number 8, correct, Brady? Ordinance number 8. Yeah, okay. To allow winter commercial and the permitted use in the historic commercial district. Just as a matter of order, Jerry, do you know which one to public hearing at this point?
are we first reading on this?
That's right. Is it second?
So yes.
It's a second.
Actually, yeah, just go ahead and open public hearing on the liquids,
Okay.
and then we'll have staff presentation if any.
All right, great.
Public, and then you can take it.
Okay, and then we close it and then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Very good. So at 6:15, you're opening the public hearing on the discussion of this ordinance 8. Thank you very much. And so you have before you in your packet, some items and also an ordinance. This is the appropriate time for public comment.
Oh, yeah, you should always take the staff report, and sometimes
Very good, thank
that
you.
wants to kind of watch things and to discuss.
Okay, thank you. Very good.
But it's a very simple ordinance, you see, as you can see, it defines what recreational rentals are. Which kind of responds to the conversation worked out at her reading.
That's right.
And, you know, let's really describe what it is we want to encompass. And then it allows, and then it changes the code section for the particular zoning district to allow that that now defined animal as it is by writing that in that zone. The action last time, as you well know, was in the definition, because that's really the main discussion was, and you heard from the public, I think. And what you heard from them, you know, affected how it's written. So the city, that works, and you can always think a little bit more. Once I can read it, but we find to take public comment.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So we have members of the public here and their warrant or reporter. Do you have a comment that you'd like to make?
I was just confused about what involvement landlords have with the town and if they are hired as consultants, if they are just consulted with on a basis of them being residents of the town or what that was. It seemed that the landlord, there was a landlord that was referred to a few times in the last session that we talked about this that had been consulted with about the situation, and I was just wondering, like, is that a paid position that they consult? Is that out of the kindness of the town's heart that they like let them know about this information, that they like have try to get this like personal relationship to be like given the heads up about this kind of things happening? Just kind of curious like why they didn't have to be here to get that information, but the rest of us kind of have to search for it and be here and be a little bit more involved.
All right, thank you. Any comment on that?
No, but we regularly reach out to most of our property owners when we do anything that might affect their property. I think you talked about being Abramson and her property that we reached out to her and asked her about how that would affect her leasing, because one of the claims that we had heard leading up to the meeting was that this would be something that would be impossible to do under the special use permit option, because it provided for the landlord's approval. And so with that written into the ordinance, we wanted to confirm that, or at least get some feedback from a landlord that was being impacted by this, and we did. And I think that that's what kind of led the discussion to go more towards the permitted use or the right, the outright use to be added as opposed to the special use permit. So that's what we're recommending approval this evening.
So it's, do I not have the, maybe the online version wasn't be corrected, and it says.
We provided an updated memo page. The one online had the memo page from the meeting on July 14th. So the updated memo page is in this packet here. If you want to review it.
Mr. Davenport did provide an updated memo recommending that to make use. She's right after that.
Any other comments? Any other? No, okay, thank you. I had a quick question. I know that CMI in that meeting that Warren Reference talked about.
It froze up. Is it just you and I in here?
I can hear you, Mike Davenport.
I don't know what happened to the rest of the meeting.
I can try and call, unless that's what you just did.
No, I'm just waiting.
Hi guys, this is Tom Peterson in the background. I know I'm here to represent the gazebo at the end of saw that on the agenda, but same here. I don't have the meeting either, but I have you guys.
Well, I think we give it a say. I might text Amanda here in a second to let them know that we're kicked out.
Right on.
Okay, that's fine. I'll let the other two people know who are on Zoom. Thank you. Bye. I talked to Kasia and she said their internet dropped and they're trying to get back online.
Okay.
All right.
It should be fine. Yeah, you're still. Yeah, you're right. All right, we are ready to go.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about accessory language and you were explaining that.
I think I'd rather just not start over and we must be let Michael rest the video. Michael, would you mind explaining what an accessory use is?
Yes, an accessory use is one that is considered to be commonly associated with what's called the principal use. The principal use is the main use of the building or the property. So an accessory is something that is commonly associated, but it's subordinate. Some Georgetown doesn't have this, but many jurisdictions say should not be more than 10% of the square area to give you an idea of what subordinate means. But that's what an accessory use is.
Okay. So there's no preference in terms of language to permitted use by right. It's actually something more limited, is that right?
An accessory, yes. The idea is that, for example, the particular use we're looking at tonight, if you were to make it an accessory use instead of a permitted use, for example, that means the whole building could not be used for recreational rentals. That would no longer be subordinate to whatever the main use of the building was.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Michael on that? Any questions? Alan, from you have a question? Did Alan have one? Okay. He was thinking out there behind Ryan. Okay, any questions from the board? All right, very good. So we have before us our ordinance number 8. Any other comments, Dennis or Jerry, if you make them there? All right, very good. Thank you. I close the public hearing at 6:26. And you have a motion before you in your packet. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Alex.
I move to approve ordinance number 8, series 2026 on the second reading, allowing recreational rentals as a permitted use in the historic commercial district.
Thank you. Mary second. All those in favor? Thank you, Mike. Any opposed? Very good. All right, thank you. Pass on second reading. We appreciate that. Thank you, Alderman England, for being here. We'd like to see that. Next item up is consideration of a proposal by CH2 Associates regarding the Hotel de Prairie parking lot improvements. That is second.
Yes, the board of selectmen allocated $75,000 to the complete and upgrade and improvements at the parking lot across the street. The property is owned by the Colonial Dames and the Hotel Day for League. And as you are aware, the town leases that space for public parking. I think it's a $5 annual fee, but in that lease arrangement, it's a commitment by the town to provide maintenance and upkeep of that facility. We have not done that over the years, and the board thought it was prudent to invest some money in updating and improving certain aspects of that property. So the first step is to hire THK, a design firm who will take our direction on what we're looking for in terms of the facility, and then present to the board of selectmen for their consideration a design concept.
So do you think we can get the parking lot done for 50K?
It depends on what they come back with. We have so far in our conversations with THK, a long list of wants and needs. I'll give you an example. There is no pedestrian facility on the south side of the parking lot, and so we would like to do that project in conjunction with this one, but it would not be paid for out of the capital project for $50,000 that we have. But that's important. Also, the corner to me is not functioning at its optimum in terms of pedestrian flow and safety. And so one of the things we asked them to look at under this, if it's approved, is to look at improving that corner area, maybe cutting the corner a little bit instead of at a 90-degree angle, cutting it so that there is a staging area for pedestrian crossing at the corner. relocating the monument that is there on Sixth Street. Replacing the parking bumpers that really are old railroad ties right now that are deteriorating. And then doing a significant amount of grading better handle with stormwater runoff better. So those are some of the things that just off the top of my head, I mentioned THK, but they're gonna go through and be thorough and look at that. Plus, it also does include managing the RFP and I probably would also with hiring a contractor to do that work.
I'm asking for a friend, but the elements in consideration for the continued use of Christmas market.
Absolutely not.
That's the answer I want.
No, we'll be open our conversations that this is absolutely one of those things that will help us to continue Christmas market use of that
But
facility.
and there could be an impact and overall, that's fine after the friend will take that into consideration. However, as the sidewalk expands and curb is cut different and structurally things are moved around in there, I would want them coming in and putting some kind of median in the parking lot for additional spaces that then could impact becomes a tricky hazard. Yes. Wow.
That's really not, just pass on to the friend that we have already.
Thank you.
Here's the brother, sorry.
And why would you not put it there?
Potentially to the farm.
Okay, so right in that.
Yeah.
Would this be laid out by the PHK, where we might be able to do in phases and different parts of it, you know, having estimated costs. So that way, if it's something we can't do all at once with the existing budget, it doesn't get provided.
Keep in mind that THK is gonna give you a cost estimate, but the real cost of that is not gonna come forward for you with some certainty until we get your bids. Sure. So they will create this design proposal for you and will almost be like a à la carte choice. So that you can say, we don't wanna do that corner idea that you came up with, Dennis, that's not a good idea. And then they will adjust their cost estimate for you, so you know.
Because that's basically what we did with Strauss Park, and we just did set that, we could figure out how to afford it, sure.
But so in prior conversations, we talked about improving other parking areas in the historic district, even though they're private parking lots and investing in that opportunity. And so I would like PHK to have the idea in their mind that there could be some cohesiveness as we go on to the next one, so we don't look like we're putting, you know,
Yeah.
a totally contrary.
Coordinated and.
Yeah. I mean, we're
That is, yes, we've already had that conversation a number of times and we're currently working up a proposal to do this same exercise for the properties behind the buildings on Sixth Street.
Okay,
And we've started a conversation with the property owners there to see if we can reach consensus or agreement where we have one large public parking area to maximize the number of spots that we can put in there. Also, though, with the same look and treatments and fencing if we need them, or as what we're gonna try to do over here. So this parking system will be easily recognizable as our parking system, all is one.
maybe each parcel will have its unique, you know, concepts, which is fun.
We've had a really good response from the property owners so far.
Any other questions on this? Or you have a motion in your packet, would somebody take that motion? I move that the board of selectmen accept the proposal from THP Associates for design services related to the upgrade of the Sixth Street house parking lot for an amount not to exceed $21,400.
So, thank you. Second, all those in, thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? Anything? Very good, so THK is good to go. Agenda item number 4, your action item is consideration of ordinance 7. And this numbering has gotten kind of crazy, but if this is ordinance 7, amending the section of the code regarding employment or authority action. So, do you have comments on this one?
The first comment I want to make is on the numbering ordinances. This is a prime example of how the town administrator just starts ripping off cover memos And then leaves blanks for ordinance numbers and expects other people to fill them in. And then when I go in and fill them in myself, I totally screw up the whole order, so this is totally on me, but. With regard to the hauling route regulation, we've updated the fee structure and the insurance requirements that I think we discussed at the last meeting. And the only issue that is still outstanding that I'm going to turn to my colleague over here is to talk about language that would exempt truck hauling permit requirements in cases where bad weather forces trucks up I-70 into traverse through Georgetown. So I chatted a little bit with Gary on this and hopefully Gary has been able to wordsmith something that you have.
I've got some language, you know, there's a section already that's on exemptions in the, so.
Just for
Yeah.
1 second, the correct ordinance in our packet.
We provided an updated memo page in that packet of materials that you got at the beginning, and the updated ordinance is to be provided during the meeting.
And did you pass the updated ordinance out?
No, we were still awaiting that, and Jerry's gonna help us understand that.
But half the order.
Thank you.
Got it.
That's okay, thank you.
I was, oh, this is over the one. Got it.
Additional, the public hearing on second reading.
I did not.
I would go ahead and do that.
Oh, all right, very good. So it is, let's see, 6:35. We will open the public hearing for discussion on the haul truck permit ordinance.
There are already exemptions in the structure, and there's no particular magic in the language that would come up with, but I give it a thought and what I have written down is something like the town administrator in consultation with the CCSO to grant authority to grant one or more exemptions to allow truck hauling when diverted during extreme weather. And the consultation with the CCSO is required, but I sort of I'm more against comments. I suspect that might be one of the agencies that would be aware of the need or have heard about it, and it's probably would be helpful. I'm sure the town administrator would be consulting the CCSO no matter what, whether it's said in the ordinance or.
I think anytime that there's an opportunity to shift the blame, I think it's a great thing, so. Yeah, consulting with CCSO is a good idea.
With that in mind, with the language, and you can discuss it, you can do. So some move or approve the ordinance with the changes proposed would be the town administrator in consultation with Clerk Sheriff's Office. Is granting authority to grant one or more exemptions to allow truck hauling when diverted during extreme weather events.
So. Was this part of the email that I sent to you? Okay. And that's not just severe weather events. When. It's my question, I think Alex, you had brought this up when we were discussing it on the application. Or my concern. If 70 is closed. And they're taking some half-ass way down 285 and then back up over. Might not be necessarily weather related, it could be traffic related. I appreciate the weather piece because it could be related to that, however. I think we need to tighten the language so that it would only allow for one single haul. I mean, so traffic can move. We wouldn't expect someone to be making repeated hauls. What I was really aiming at was to try to alert the driver that there is some type of regulation and to have town have the ability to kind of go through some, emergency checklists and still maintain the integrity of the route and the potential damage to the road. I'm not just trying to waive it. I want us to be aware of it and to somehow account for it.
Well, I hear that, two things. The language I read has the authority to grant one or more exemptions. And I would say just one, because it may well be that there's this truck and there's a truck behind it.
Right.
Or there's this truck and this truck needs to go there and back. So I think the administrator needs to target, the language as written is designed to allow the administrator target to that truck for that purpose and not for that purpose. I mean, that nearest two questions, that's one. The other is, outside of extreme weather events, and we can certainly say during extreme weather events, traffic, on Interstate 70 if you like, or during emergency events, or right now, there's already, I think, an emergency event exemption in that whole structure. So this addresses the extreme weather, which is not in the structure now, there now. But we've got already, so, yeah, we can add, this was not in the structure on diverting from I-70, so we can add when traffic is diverted from I-70 for any reason.
What I'm hearing from Mary is how do we keep control of it while also allowing for the alternative route? Is that about right?
Yes, but I don't see the need to be so forthcoming that we are, yes, we're going to allow more than one haul, but it's limited to one haul per that truck in a sense. Coming, shit hits the fan, they get over, we're not stopping from the transportation, but then they're gonna have to make alternative plans, or the application then kicks into place when they want to go back, then the general rules apply. I'm not trying to stop the traffic. I get that.
I'm just struggling with, and I agree with you, that's all true. So how do you say it?
That's why we have.
I'm struggling with, other than saying, the administrator, in consultation with CTO, this council opinion, has the authority to grant one or more exemptions to allow truck hauling when, and then you list as many things you like, but at some point listed enough. Right now, at this point, there is extreme weather events or emergency situations or traffic diversions. And I would stop there, because otherwise, I would stop there. I think that's a pretty broad, and I suspect that if some other weird fact pattern raises itself in another year or two, we can always add a fact pattern. But that's a pretty broad scope.
Okay. Application is put into place and intended how you apply the rules and the controls to that permit. I'd like the town to be on the same page where, okay, we'll wait over this time, but now you're doing all of this and you're providing this if you want to go back type thing.
Yeah.
That-
You need to approve it, then.
I'm struggling with the practical application here because if we have a blizzard event and the trucks get diverted off I-70, honestly, that's not gonna be my top priority. I'm not gonna. Right. Okay, so we can push that to the side and not worry about it. If, however, CDOT decides they're going to do some impromptu construction and they closed lanes and then said, get off in Georgetown. Then I have to, and the staff has to monitor who they are, where they're going, and whether or not they turn around and come back. That's the real situation. I feel like we'd be in a pickle because it could be prolonged, right? We don't know if CDOT's gonna wrap up their construction within a day or 3 days or 5 days. And we don't want that to become a permanent but temporary new route for trucks without this permitting action.
So maybe the timing on the parameters is stricter, so the event that I'm referring to that brought this up, I think, if I was reading your mind, right? Was when somebody was closed, traffic was diverted down through Dillon, Breckenridge, and vehicles were probably coming back up, they couldn't get to all the pass they got to go over, so they would be coming back over Burnell Pass. I can see trucks in real time doing that. And I'm sorry, I also think if protecting this route and having these haul permits, it's not just excelling the work that they're doing. We could have a heck of a lot of vehicles coming over. And that is an emergency management situation that staff is gonna have to somehow figure out how to manage. I don't know, I'm not asking you to figure out how to do it tonight, but I'm asking you to figure it out how to implement it when that happens. And maybe it's only for, for a period of time, when with that 4 to 6 hour window or whatever. Otherwise, no, they can't get from there to here on Grinnell Pass.
Well, there also collaboration with Park County. Yeah, I mean, if the trucks are coming off the 285 side, do we have a say in what they do?
Also, big.
I'm just trying to, we have to say as to how they're following, we have to say as to the trucks as to how they're following our regulations. And that's why I don't want to stop the trucks from their interstate commerce transportation,
No, I get that.
recognizing that it was beyond their control, but I think we should have a backup plan when that happens. Because then why don't we just let them go? And if they ruin our roads, and they,
Well, it's county, it's Park County to the summit, and then it's Clear Creek County down to that sign, right, and then it's 10. So I don't even think a large, big semi could come down Vanilla Pass. They must not.
They don't like it.
No, absolutely. So is that fall under the emergency situation?
Me, might make a suggestion, now what's in front of you is the ordinance. What's in front of you isn't, okay, we're gonna set up, we're gonna 10 rules for how the administrator implements the program.
Right.
Which is no question important, and we've raised a lot of, well, what ifs, and what about this fact, and what about that one, and what about that, and those are all legitimate questions. I have thoughts, I think first, that, you do your best with all those fact patterns in mind and draft in the ordinance section. Broad enough way that now there's flexibility. I think we have that, I'm not reading it. And secondly, like the example of the CDOT cars, putting a whole bunch of cars in town. The administrator has the authority to grant one or more exemptions. On the administrator of that circumstance, the administrator calls them out, there will be there. And I say, yes, I can help write an exemption. That is effectively a broad form exemption for trucks that need to be diverted through the town as a result of the XYZ CDOT project. Commencing on this date and to be revoked when that there's discretion over when the project. What I've just done is written an exemption that's specific to that fact pattern animal.
Right.
Right, and every one of you can think of another fact pattern animal that, okay, I'm not worried necessarily about the fact that, what about this one? About that one, you write a permit exemption, you write an exemption to be published. That encompasses that fact pattern. And that saves me from having to necessarily think we've got them all covered. So what do we do?
it's funny, it's right behind this one of the company, but that's the wording. And again, I can always stress to staff that exemption portion, it is going to be something that needs to be managed, but I would like it to be actively managed. If the occasion arises, if the plan for maybe it'll never happen.
Right. So we don't need to plan for it though in the ordinance. The ordinance.
Well, the ordinance, we're generally provides kind of.
Yeah, one job tonight was to make sure that the exemption language in the ordinance does the best we can sitting here today without the ability to see into the future or have a crystal ball to give the town and the town administrator the necessary tools.
And I would continue to evolve as we are everywhere.
Of course.
So Jerry, quick question. We don't have the written ordinance in front of us. Would that create a problem for purposes of what this board is going to approve?
Well, the ordinance is
As written.
in front of you for a second. So
I don't have a problem.
I don't either. We don't have the ordinance
This one, but this one's not good, right?
Well.
I can go find the most recent version.
I got some two albums.
You got two copies.
Yeah.
I got two copies for the record. No. They never got.
You'll be.
They never got. Got two copies.
That is correct.
We are not in a hurry. So I would suggest that we take Jerry's suggested language and work it into a final draft, and then for your approval on second reading on August 20. Yeah, I think that's the date.
So I'll make a motion to table.
Let me comment,
They don't motion to continue the, motion to continue the public hearing on the matter until August 21st.
and if you close this one,
Well, if we're continuing the public hearing, it's open until.
just say no.
So. Some.
Mary?
Okay.
Second. Alex, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is continued. Thank you very much. That saves that. Sorry. No. All right, action item number 5 is consideration of a proposal from Taylor Aldrich regarding the water system pressurization.
So Haley Aldrich did the initial capacity study, and you've received that report. I think it was back in the fall. And their recommendation was to implement a valve pressurization system to equalize the water pressure throughout the community. And we are currently experiencing a variety of pressures throughout the community based on early development in Georgetown and the new development on the north end of the community. Why is this important? Not only is it important to provide all of our residents equitable water pressures for their residents, but also to ensure that in case of a fire, all of our hydrants are working at optimum pressurization. We have a current master services agreement with Haley Aldrich that we are using for odd jobs. For example, they have provided with comments on Excel watershed permit applications. They have also done a few small little tasks for us in terms of reviewing development projects that we have ongoing. And Kenneth has been working on the initial design work under that master agreement, but now to the point now where he has multiple engineers on standby, ready to start the full bore design work on this. And also including managing our RFP process to hire a contractor to do the actual construction. And as such, I requested Kenneth provide a proposal for your consideration, and that is before you this evening to do the full blown hydraulic modeling, pressure zone evaluation, engineering design, and the permitting and bid support work, and the contract amount is $54,000.
And that 54,000 is in line with other costs, being like I'm engineering service.
That's correct. And also to know that because of Haley Aldrich's past experience and involvement, that they're uniquely positioned to be familiar with what we're trying to accomplish, which we would assume would be a cost savings as well.
Very good, thank you. Any questions? All right, there's a motion in your packet on this. Would someone like to make that motion to be Rich?
I move that the board is not going to approve with Kelly from getting $100 not to exceed $54,000. Second.
Thank you, Alice. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very good. That passes. And we're good. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, next up is a draft concession agreement for the float house at the lake. You have the cover sheet, and then obviously there's the draft agreement attached. Then do you want to start with this?
Yes, thank you. You have seen and heard from Ryan twice now on his concept for the Alpine Nordic Wellness Experience. He's calling it the Georgetown Float House LLC to be located at Georgetown Lake. He's presented to you an original proposal and then an updated proposal that answered a number of your questions in the previous work session. During this time, we also started working on draft concession agreements that you have before you this evening. I'm not expecting you to make a decision on the concession agreement draft this evening, but I would very much value your input on some of the key points. And I'd like to take just a few minutes to run down this outline so you can see in a brief way what was included in the proposed draft agreement. So under services, the concession has operate the Alpine Nordic Wellness Experience at Georgetown Lake. The services to include a sauna, cold plunge, floating platform dock associated with the facilities and a customer check-in booth. Services will be available to the general public year-round 365 days per year, and the operations will be limited to the approved concession area identified in Exhibit A. Mr. Chase and I did meet out at this location. We did scout out a few opportunities. And the place that is the optimal location has the power and the water services that would be needed, as well as the parking support, and meets the board's directive to locate this on the lake side and not on the lagoon side, is right there near the warming house. As it looks like a makeshift boat launch, but it is really just a loaded press area where they want to locate his original check-in booth with the deck leading out into the water. He has checked the depth in that area, and it will be sufficient to accommodate the cold plunge. The proposed agreement term is for 3 years, from September 1st, 26 to August 31st, 29. The renewal option would be for 1 additional 3-year term to be negotiated by mutual agreement between the 2 entities. And then the concessionaire must provide written notice with intent to renew it for 180 days before the expiration of the first term. The agreement is exclusive. This is important because by agreeing to this concession agreement, the town is basically saying that Georgetown Float House LLC will be the only authorized sauna cold plunge Nordic wellness facility on Georgetown Lake. The town's compensation of revenue sharing for this would be as laid out as such. Year 1 would be 5% of net profit, so the Georgetown Float House, whatever they make after expenses, the town would receive 5% of that. In year 2, that bumps to 7%, and in year 3, that bumps to 10%. These profit sharing ratios would be have to be negotiated if there was a renewal requested.
Okay.
And then, of course, you see there's a definition of what restaurant means. Then also, in addition to the profit sharing option, there would be a standard monthly reporting and payment requirement. So payment and revenue report would be due to the town on the 20th of each month, which means they would say, here's our report for last month. We received this much in net profit, and here is what your 5%, 7%, 10% would be. If there are late payments, they would accrue at a 1.5% interest per month. And then there's some language on what would be included in the monthly revenue report. What would be required, the use of a town approved reporting form, which means that they would have to lay out what their form, the information we would like to see, the town would like to see on a monthly basis. And they must maintain adequate financial records so that we can have access to those if we request them. We can also request that they audit at least 15 days prior to written notice must occur during normal business hours without unreasonable interference with the operations. The rent that would be required would begin on January 1st, so you can see that we are offering a ramp-up period between September and January 1st, which Ryan thinks is a fair amount of time for him to order all of his equipment and have it delivered and installed in time so that he can begin operation as close to January 1st as possible. And that rent schedule would be $250 a month for 2027, $375 a month for 2028, and $500 a month for 2029. Rent is due on the 20th, the same time of the month when that reported to. Yes.
Would rental go up in the renewal period? Like the process.
The validity of and thereafter should be scored. That's suggesting that
that was suggesting that there was nice if they were real afterwards, was the material agreement. Which has the opportunity to be removed. Can you point to me and then? Yeah, I actually off my lip notes and now I have this, but you can remember. Page 68, number 4, red. 2029, and then I'm closing here.
Yeah.
It does sound like, okay, yeah, so we would make sure that those words thereafter is written, as you say. Yes, like you're correct. Okay. Utilities, so, the concessionaire will reimburse the town for its own metered or reasonably estimated utility usage when utilities are billed to the town account, which is a fancy way of saying, just like anybody else, the water goes to a customer, they would receive bills and pay those bills. We will coordinate the, extension of electrical, utilities to the concession area. And the electrical service will include base, that's all technical stuff, I don't know. Concessionaire reimburses the town for utility provider charges, so whatever we expend. The concessionaire will pay us back and they're requesting that we amortize that, I think we're at a 24-month payment period.
You know, this came up, because someone stopped me on the street as part of the condition. And with that three-phase, you have to, because there's not that power running to those bathrooms and that, plumbing pipe, that it would probably cost several tens of thousands of dollars to put a transformer. You got 400 kilowatt three-phase output. And I think, I don't know if our concession partner knows it's that kind of outlet.
He does.
He does or does not?
He does.
And that's considered.
We had discussed, we have discussed this very issue,
So 20-30,000.
yes. That's why we asked for.
Okay, it didn't sound like that in the last presentation, that it was gonna be that, so, and then the other piece is that. None of this has to be run through our commissions.
No, it's a rental.
Frankly,
Sorry,
if you're talking DRC plan.
yes. Yes, we would run that through those required groups, of course. But it's not that.
Not the rental
The consent agreement is the board's authority only. The DRC, the planning commission, and I would say we would include the parks commission as well, because we would want their view on the layout, the services that are being provided.
Sure, and because then we would do that before we sign any rental agreement.
Well, a rental agreement be condition on all the other necessary town approvals from those groups.
Because there's some folks in those commissions that do have concerns that we would be entering this without having their expertise and input. And that couldn't happen then, correct?
Correct. No, we pretty commonly have agreements that are conditioned on getting the right land use approval. And here we've got land use part. Yes, let me, when I say land use, it's kind of.
So that. Yeah.
And I think, and letting all those that you know that, is important.
If I can speak to. LLC needing this signed off at some point in order to gain financing for his projects, which of course is still contingent upon DRC's plan and their parts of their approval.
The steps here are important because of that fact, not to mention, we don't want to waste everybody's time if the board were saying. 10%, that's way too low, we want 30%, and then Ryan said that prices me right out of this, I can't do it. So we wouldn't be, if we can't come to an agreement on the concession document, then we're not gonna waste all of the other people's time.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the detail.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure that our commission would get the weight in on it. And then the other thing is, I'm not sure, I can't remember how long you had that agreement with the IGA with the fire department, with the existing stone yurt that is down there already.
Didn't we go with
They,
2024?
I can't remember.
The top here, if I, like, maybe we got supposed to go back to highway. I know we can find.
I would like that information.
2025. More than 2020. That's what I remember, but I could be lost.
Yeah, it's this year, so no.
Oh, so it would have been 25, it was.
We will get that, that's easy to look up and.
Because that's a stone building that was underutilized and it was just used for storage right now for the fire department.
Well, I don't.
But it's not gonna blow
It
away.
can fairly be categorized as storage.
Yeah.
It is water response equipment. So every time they have to rescue somebody from Georgetown Lake, instead of going to the fire station, picking everything up and then hauling it down to the lake, they all just go right to the lake. Yeah, it's like the rescue boat. Yeah.
I don't know, yeah, I'd be served with the safety. I don't know.
Oh, I'm not off the question, thinking about finish.
I know.
I'm going to sit here and pretend like I'm taking notes for a long, long time. Okay, we talked about the DRC Planning Commission and parks, okay.
And the fire authority.
I'm making notes with you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay.
You were on the electrical bill up with the saunas and the. Right, and they're gonna reimburse, yeah, so nice to be reading the standardized government on a rugged, thick, great.
Is it that time?
Yes.
Okay. Hours of operation are permitted operating hours are 5 AM to 9 PM. Safety, concessionaire is responsible for customer safety. Customers must receive water safety instruction before participating in sauna with full funds services. Appropriate safety signage must be posted.
So for safety, I would like to see in addition that the concessionaire needs to remain in good standing with all state and local regulatory agencies, including CDPG. I have a little bit of a concern that hadn't been explored, in our last work session. I feel like if you're getting here to do this, those guys are kind of the first ones you should be talking to. And then obviously another regulatory agency that has the authority, including us, if we deemed necessary to remote the.
And you brought those up when we had our last session, yeah, that's noted.
And I can report back on that. Ryan was in contact with CDPHC the next day. And he is trying to navigate their process of getting their licensing in the police.
I think he's us.
So do I. So he is on that and he's pursuing that. Insurance concessionaire must maintain at its expense general liability insurance of $1 million minimum for occurrence for bodily injury, $100,000 minimum for property damage, $2 million minimum umbrella excess liability coverage, workers' comp, blah, blah, blah. Town must be named as an additional insured, co-insured is required by the agreement. And the insurance must remain in effect throughout the term. Town must be immediately notified of cancellation. You took a breath.
I did take a breath, because I was thinking about the $1 million and is it adequate these times? That was just a thought, but anyway, we can deal with that later too. I had it noted when we were. I didn't do it. Oh, yeah, the Cabin Creek incident.
The other stuff is pretty self-explanatory. I won't waste your time going through all this. I do want to point for the access and security. You'll remember that when Ryan first made his presentation, he was talking about the town maintaining that security, and we do not want that responsibility or liability. So concessionaire must install at its own expense a gate or other access control system. And docking facilities must be securely locked during non-operating hours. And both town and concessionaire will maintain keys and access credentials. That was something I insisted on in case the fire authority needs to access that facility during off hours. Okay, with that, trying to answer any questions.
Town has provided these 30 days for numerous plans, town activities, and events that affect operations. I understand the 30 years for process and courtesy, but as we reflect on our history, hockey is the big standout that hockey industries. Is he going to be reasonable with us, or are we going to potentially lose out by an event that maybe approaches us last minute?
We're ice racing too on the lake.
We are, definitely. So town has provided these 30 days for notice of planned town activities and events that may affect operations. And what I was thinking of when I read that was pond hockey. And I know you weren't here for that, but the first pond hockey tournament, we got with 18 days.
We should
I just don't want us to give up that right if something happened that we were like, we need to use the lake for tomorrow for something.
We might want to define what affects operations, now it can have a positive effect on his operations because he's gonna have a couple thousand more people here.
Correct.
So we're asking if it's limiting his operations as opposed to, oh, by the way, we're planning this huge event.
So I think we have to just look at that because I don't want us to pigeonhole ourselves and not gonna say, you know, it's like if we had,
Right.
I mean, yeah, I think Conroy was an anomaly. I don't think that, you know, that was a weirdness that was very economically beneficial to us, and I just don't wanna see us like not get to those chances.
Of course, I think though that, from an experience standpoint, 30 days is actually a short window.
I agree, I just,
And if we were to add something like, permission must not be unreasonably withheld. That's.
we're usually best efforts to get this, it just stood out to me, I don't really like lay down and die on it, but I
Well,
just pointed out.
Yeah, at any time, even if we gave them 60 days, we don't want this concessionaire to say no without having a good reason.
You know, we don't notify anybody 30 or 60 days in advance when we're having activities and events. What makes them so special? And yes, I'm saying that very sarcastically. Because we have people sitting in this room that would love to know what the hell is going on in this community. So, oh, please give me a soapbox on this. We're looking at this with a different eye here as to the impact on his operations. So again, I can only stress that this needs to be better defined. We're not asking him to close down operations. We're not asking him to, I don't want him to turn around and say, well, you didn't tell me about that. This is why I'm making the agreement, even though the event is very positive. So the language on this needs to be more precise.
But why? How would we adversely affect? What would be an example of something that would happen?
But this doesn't adversely affect.
I did make notes about how to zero in on that we need to adjust.
Yeah.
Let's say that they RDA wanted to add one issues and they called Bridget and said, we have the super special needs coming. And they need more space on the lake. And we were like, oh, they're gonna be too close to him. I don't know, I'm just kind of proud. I think their views are just, I agree, has feedback. I read it as town must provide at least 30 days with notice of planned town activities and events that may affect operations. And I was reading it as like pond hockey was what, like I said, what I thought.
But the Jeep races could be,
Positive.
even as they exist, he could say, hey, look. Notice what's posted on there.
Quiet.
Right.
And quiet.
It takes away the serenity.
And we have to make sure that he knows we've got codes and stuff like that. Yeah, and I think we said that in our first work session. I think we're pretty clear.
So I have a quick question
I
on
just want to
that.
remind you that the sheriff's office requires more than 30 days notice for special events. So we do have precedent in place where it's 30 days or more is required for notice.
On the non-illuminated signs, how are they gonna see them in the dark? I mean, I'm assuming that they're gonna have some kind of light on there from 5 AM to 9 PM. Depending on the time of the year, it's gonna be dark. So can they have a light? I mean, they don't want a neon sign, I'm assuming, because it's a sauna, but. You know, can they have some kind of light? Yeah, three days a lit sign. Yeah.
The DRC, actually, it's just Title 18 in our code, has pretty clear guidelines for lit signs. We do allow lit signs in Georgetown, look at like Circle K.
Well,
that's
exactly.
it can't shine outward. There's
And that's why I can read gas prices from my house because those are all exterior. No, there's a difference in the signage and we allow signs down there. We allow lit signs down there. So this restriction.
I'm just thinking we may wanna think about it because they're gonna wanna be seen in the dark, especially down there.
We're also probably gonna, or he's going to want some good pathways that
I thought that was part of the design.
Those are down.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, this is my demonstration of down.
Let me ask you a favor. Let's not negotiate ourselves down ourselves without him. So if he wants to ask for that particular thing, I don't like the idea that you're making me have a sign that's not lit, Dennis. Can I have a lit sign? Let's talk about that. Let's discuss that.
Is allowed to,
Yeah.
let's stop outside. And I'm not allowed, and they're allowed inside. We fought that battle, we won that battle. Lit signs are okay down there.
So I want to say today, inside the sign,
Yes, yeah, not the girls.
it's not inside the building.
Right.
So, Mike, online, you, Mike? On this?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions on this? On the Boathouse concessionary drive agreement?
No, I think we've reviewed it plenty of times. I don't think it'll ever get in the way of ice racing because ice racing happens on the other side of the lake. I walked it after our last meeting.
Okay.
With Josh Tingy, who runs one of the main courses there. And I don't foresee, I can't think of any other opportunities that would run and that this would get in the way that we would want to have something that close to this side of the lake where we have the actual bridge and the connector from the lagoon, which we know has thin ice, etc. So I think there's a way more appropriate place for it than we had before.
Very good. Thank you.
I have some questions.
Yes, of course, go ahead.
So under number 3, the town compensation direction here, how are these numbers derived? Were these presented by him, or did we have any research and referral on those?
The research that I did pointed to concessionaire agreements that typically run from 7 and 10% of net income. Mr. Chase started out at 1, 3, and 5, and I changed it to 5, 7, and 10.
Okay, and then on the next page of the monthly reporting and payment, the third bullet that says monthly revenue report was separately identified revenue by sales categories. What type of sales categories are we talking? Is it something that we're defining? Or is he selling different things? Like, where are we going with that? What does that mean? On the second page, under the first bullet, the monthly reporting and payment, the third bullet. It says monthly revenue report must separately identify revenue by sales category. I'm just wondering what do you mean, or what is
There will definitely be a sales category of a use fee. But there will also be potentially a sales category of merchandise that could be worn when you're in the sauna. Let's say somebody is driving down the hill and they had a long day skiing and they say, we're gonna stop at Georgetown's cold plunge operation, but we don't have any beta suit for us. He could potentially sell that merchandise there. That would be a separate sales category. Or let's say nobody showed up with a towel and he wants to sell towels, then he could have that as a separate sales category. I have no idea, being the town administrator and now a business owner, knowing what his product sales line will be to begin with or evolve into over time. And so this was just to make sure that we can encompass all things, but I want it broken out so I can see what income they're generating from different things.
So we're making an assumption right now that this merchandise potentials is like.
I'm making that assumption because of what we told.
Well,
Okay,
and generally, you know, on your, like your sales tax return, if we, and I don't, the revision. But it's my understanding that if you're like in the service side of it, then if you sell like a product, like your hair salon, or you buy hairspray,
then there's sales tax.
there's sales tax.
So there's no sales tax on
Great
service.
breaking out. Like on my sales tax return, it's just the food side, you know, like my sales.
Well, I know this has come up with our lodging tax and just regular items that the hotel sells compared to the actual lodging tax. Okay, I was just asking for more definition. So on number 4, under the rent. I think. I'd like to know the size of the space that we're talking about, and I realize we don't have anything on attachment A that has been provided here. I'd like to see a footprint. A map as to where it actually.
You mean like a square foot?
Like a parcel size and a definition of a parcel and how far it's going to be water.
And we know that we're definitely half the scale, how much is gonna be on land, and how much is gonna be on water. And this rent seems incredible, and like an incredible deal.
I would agree with that. It is a through public-private partnership. And I have weighted more heavily the profit sharing than the standard what would be. With the idea, and it's graded over years, the idea is to help the private entity get their feet under them and get going, generating income, so that then the town value of sharing.
That to attract new opportunities. It still seems like an incredible deal, so very low. I would like an explanation, all right, so number 5, the utilities, the phase 3 connection for Sonic, I really like to understand what that is. I heard you say earlier you don't know what that is, I would just like an explanation. Because it seems to be broken down into phase 3 and phase 1, just so that I can understand this concession agreement.
These are the electrical services that will be required from the different facilities that he's importing and installing. And he won't know until he is prepared to place his order, which one he will need, so he has to include both of those.
Okay, but I would like to have clear understanding of that. Then still under number 5, the third bullet from the bottom, where it says town will extend water service to the concession area. At whose cost?
Yes,
Okay. That doesn't seem to be
concessionaire is responsible for ongoing water usage costs, okay?
the cost, but not the
Right,
service.
but not the service extensions.
So I'm happy that he's paying for the service to be extended. I'd like that outlined in this agreement, please. In addition to the costs. Item number 8, insurance. Georgia just talked this up. I agree that as a town, I think we need to look at what our liability minimums are in today's day, because we've had this 1 million policy for a long time, and I don't think $1 million goes very far anymore. Even though it's out of reach for a lot of us, and perhaps we would want to have the opportunity to increase that during this agreement period. So if it needs to be put into place for the first year, but let's give ourselves some leeway to increase that for year 2, 3, and 4 and beyond.
I would argue that you're imposing a restriction, you're imposing. Not a restriction, you're telling the business owner how to run his business.
But it's also on town property, so we have those.
But we also, within this agreement, have made it quite clear that liability is entirely his. If $1 million is not sufficient,
With some him.
that's on him.
So the town.
And this is there's the thing waiting on this. Yeah.
I don't search with the way in to explain that the town will be liable. Even if you enter into an agreement, they're backing up on this one. Even if you enter into an agreement and you say that the concessionaire is totally liable, that does not stop someone from naming the town as a responsible party if there's an accident, or maybe they make up a story that the town was negligent in the way the water service was established.
So I think Sarah or someone else can weigh in, now let's get a professional to weigh in what our minimum should be. That's what I'm
But
asking.
is it our minimums or his minimums?
No, we're asking for this minimum liability.
So I was going to propose that we just take the minimums that we have in our current policy and mirror that with this.
And then let's find out if the minimums are really enough in 2026 or 2027 or 2028. Or put another bullet in here so that we can increase the limits, just as we're increasing the rent and the net profits.
So let's just, because we go through this exercise every year when we renew with CIRSA to make sure that these amounts are reasonable and appropriate. So maybe instead of listing all this, maybe they just have to have liability coverage equal to whatever the town has at that time with CIRSA under our general liability insurance. So if the board decides next year that we're gonna jump our $2 million minimum umbrella coverage to 3 million, then we have to update this 3 million as well.
Somebody can tell us that $1 million is up to $3 million. Under his operations plan, number 13. When he was here, we talked about the potential for his rates to have some reduction for residents. I'd like him to reconsider that and potentially add that in. I think that's a big sell to the community. My numbers are gonna reduction in fees for the.
Now, you said 15, right, under the operation?
It's under number 13, I'm sorry.
13.
But you're talking about
13.
resident,
What's together his operations plan?
a resident.
Yeah. Under number 16, the town responsibility. Where it refers to parking. On the second bullet, where you say designate, or I shouldn't say you, where the document says designate customer parking on 22nd Street. Do we mean the off-street parking at 22nd Street? Because typically we require businesses to provide off-street parking for their operations.
So that's part of this agreement. That's one reason why we're doing this, because we have the parking facilities that he takes advantage of.
But it's off street, not literally.
But it's off-street parking at 22nd Street.
If not on the.
Okay, but it says on 22nd Street, so I'm sure it's can be easily corrected.
Yeah. Just like what Kevin Creed had there, that's all.
This doesn't say that. And so the last bullet under number 16, we're providing picnic tables and related amenities for the concession area, That's at a cost to us. I realize we're in partnership with him. But I'm wondering how much I would like the numbers of what this portion of this agreement is going to cost us.
I think it would be really helpful if we had a map of the area. And then we could see where is the parking, where are the phone houses, how many feet, what is the square footage of the saunas? What is the, the parcel layout, all of the things, so we can visually understand where it is and the impacts and the size, and to Mary's point, then where are we putting these picnic tables and why are we doing it and all of that. So I think it's gonna be really helpful to the board if we really had that kind of schematic or diagram or whatever you want to call it.
So Mary, you would like the cost of a picnic area.
I would like the cost and what it's gonna cost us what it's gonna cost the town to level and prepare the shoreline staging area. And what it's gonna cost us to construct and maintain a pedestrian path. And what it's gonna cost us to put X amount of picnic tables there. And how much it's gonna cost us to remove rocks and debris. Please go down these bullets and let us know what our financial responsibility is to this. Because it's not just picking up a couple of rocks and moving them. We know that's gonna be pricey.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
The last thing I had to teach you this time was back to the piece that the town administrator for material breach. I know this was it was addressed in the Gartner Senate. The town may not define or tell the operation to cease without a quantified public safety threat. I think that we need a little more language, and again, if you haven't gone and listened to the public hearing or reference to the last meeting, I would encourage you all to go do that, because this is a similar entity. Yeah, but not our public hearing to be cleared up as county commissioners, nothing to do with us, but I think we need a little bit of insulation if we have to. Say, can't work, I think he's gonna be great, he seemed very responsible, but. We have to see by it.
And then I have some concerns about the concessionaire version with documents that you had in here, but maybe you can put out some of the other side first, and then we can do that at another time if you want to continue to go on.
So I think with these changes, there's a substantial number. I think that once we make these changes and then go back to the original document and make those changes, that could clear up a lot of that.
All right, yes, she and
And I have a quick thing, in the section, in paragraph 32, grant casualty, I would suggest in paragraph A, we add wind. It says fire, storm, vandalism, ice, or other casualty, wind is one of our favorite renowned. Wednesday, yeah. Well, enough. And then in paragraph 34, environmental matters, paragraph B. They are going to test to be responsible for contamination.
Can we slow down a bit?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The first thing was great.
32, paragraph A.
Yeah,
32.
Oh,
Paragraph 32. No, the paragraph 32. Yeah, I just pointed to that one through first, paragraph 32. And then it's number 8. Had waiting.
And then luckily that the or other casualty event would cover anything that comes outside of that list.
Yeah.
Including it.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then if you go down to number 34, environmental matters. And you go to subpart B.
Sure.
It says here that the concessionaire is going to establish. What does it say? Be responsible for contamination and environmental damage. I'm wondering if there should be prior testing, so we can put a baseline. So that when something goes wonky, you have something to test against, or say, hey, this was our baseline, now this happened.
We test downstream every month, or how often is that?
We don't want to test on speed. But you want to perform an EA? Are we testing the water quality around the facility or?
Well, it says here that they're going to be responsible for contamination
Right.
or environmental damage caused by their operation.
I read that.
So if we don't have a baseline, how do we know what they're being on?
I understand my question is different.
Oh, sorry.
My question is, what are we testing? Are we testing or what's suggested we tested? The quality of the water in the lake around the facility, the quality of the wastewater outflow?
What is their damage? Their damage could be to the land or the water.
Oh, okay. All I'm asking is what should be tested what is the pre-operation? What things are we testing?
I understand, and I'm asking, like, what are they contaminating? Whatever they're possibly contaminating is what we should pre-test.
Probably the lake water, I mean, primarily for the facility.
Yeah, but we should pre-test, contamination of the environment or whatever they're gonna be doing out there. We did soil samples years ago and we're getting ready for the. Yeah, anything like that, and so I'm gonna,
I would recommend that we,
it's something to consider.
yeah, soil and lake water testing,
Yeah.
and they do it on a regular basis to prove that there isn't a contamination.
That's.
They do the same
Start
thing, but we're upset they're in the hot tub and get up there and put it.
Yes.
But the health department will require it.
Okay, I made that note.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'd like to go back to page 70. Number 18, termination. I think there should be some form of wording which is along the lines of in the event of termination, the removal and making good of the
area should be solely at the concessionaires expense.
No restoration.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah.
As long as we like that. We are gonna start.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Any other comments or questions, Mike, anything else?
Nope, I'm satisfied.
All right, very good, thank you. Any other comments? Thank you, it's been a lot of work. Can you go ahead or? We are going to, well, since this is the draft and we're reviewing it, is there a motion that needs to be made or, Jerry?
I think we, the staff got direction from you to. We'll make a review and come back to us with.
Right, okay. All right, very good, thank you. All right, thank you, a lot of work. Oh, great, let's do it. It's exciting opportunity.
Go back.
Go faster, okay, I'm gonna try to speed up. This parcel isn't any of the VLM plan that we don't, this is the question. Is this any of this parcel or area part of the VLM land that is donated to us decades ago that maybe compromise this agreement? And Jerry, you dealt with the DLM for the driveway and all that stuff, yeah, so,
Been quite a while on that, understand, but I
okay,
I know what file.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So, very good, I can't talk about all the work, it's really good, it's an exciting opportunity. All right, item number 7, our last action item, consideration of final gazebo structural design. You have that in your packet, there's, did you not have that?
Yeah, just quickly, you've seen a couple iterations here. Tom Peterson, Bob Hamilton have been working with our structural engineering for film firm IMEU. And they have, believe me, they have been very thorough in putting together how this structure is going to be constructed. This is great because it helps us even more when it comes to talking to the contractor. So we're just asking for your final blessing on this before it gets turned into a full-blown RFP, so we can start soliciting bids from contractors. The only things that I would point to that have been modified outside normal structural things like inserting certain joints, structure, joint elements like they call them a knife something and they call them a, you know, all the thing.
The thing.
Oh, Tom's here. Okay, good. But Tom can talk more on the technical stuff there. But as you can see, we're trying to provide the most thorough package available for our contractors to bid on to try to get best price. So before we do that, we want your blessing. But Tom, do you have any explanation? Could you talk about knife plates and those kinds of things there around can?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't quite hear all you said there. The first apologies for my no camera here. I'm on a limited internet, so I didn't want to risk dropping out on anything. Yeah, basically I've been working with the structural engineer, just working through details of the knife plates. Actually, with knife plates was an earlier term we were looking at. I'm even sure what I'll call them more of an angle bracket, I guess, is really where we ended up with. I'm not sure if you have the details in front of you. I'm looking at sheet A4. One shows some steel brackets. Basically, every other bay, flip back and forth between the elevation sheet of A3-1. Maybe A3-1 is even better, the better sheet to look at with the different elevations. Steel brackets to basically keep it from racking, twisting and swaying in the wind, essentially. And just finalizing details of handrails and going through the structural details with the engineer. I reviewed that with him last week. They sent me some red lines on Friday. which I intend to coordinate with them next week on. I'm kind of wrapping up my details as well, and then going to dive into their red line set and kind of incorporate the structural elements into the drawing set for that final bid slash construction and permit set. So I guess probably since the last time you guys saw these drawings, like I said, we've added those brackets, as you can see on the elevations. I don't know what we had. Anyways, in the previous version, we've added, just minimal color accents to give an idea of what the keep it simple, and not sure what else to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Tom, I saw the, school requirement on red line, and then you took it, that's gonna, for the code. I didn't know if you'd already done that since these drawings were given to us. And I just think it is important that we do include that, because I don't know how much that influences our RFP.
I missed the first.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the first part. You referring to code? What was the?
On NC1, there was red line about the electrical requirements, and that we're gonna go for the crawl space plan on electrical coordinate meets with the town. And it said in red something about for code compliance. So have you guys made that determination, what kind of electrical is gonna be put in there and what?
Yeah, electrically, we are looking at just some outlets at this point. Lighting has come up in discussions. I don't think I'm not sure to what level of anticipation of lighting, or we may plan for that. I think those are a couple questions yet to review with. I was going to review with Bob Hamilton and Dennis again too. If we can provide power there for it and add a conduit if we think we want lights. But personally, I don't know. I think if performances or whatnot might be going on there, hopefully they'll provide their own lights if things are actually happening after dark. That's, I don't know that. Kind of trying to keep it in vein of the same, what the gazebo was there, just kind of a daytime use thing. We are looking for power outlets though, to have those readily available for performance type events.
Right, so the output for lighting or sound or whatever.
Yeah, for them to plug in for their amplification system or.
Thank you. And then is the footprint of the gazebo, I know now we have that accessibility ramp that goes around, but is the actual footprint of the gazebo itself the same as it was, and then the ramp makes it larger?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Going back to the electrical, should that be a 240 volts outlet?
I'm not sure yet and we can ask the engineers on that too, if they have and I'm not sure what the power requirements may be for what may go on there. But I can't imagine we need 240 volts, but.
Yeah, this is just for the design. Yeah, right.
I don't think you need a 240 for months and so.
And this is the design, I think, that I need to approve right now. So any other questions on the design? Okay, there's a motion in your packet. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move the board of selectmen accept the final structural design of the new gazebo.
Sorry. Second, Dwayne. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mike? Thank you. All right, there we go, design approved. So now getting into our reports, I do not have a report today. We'll start with Mike, will start with you in line. Did you have a report?
Yeah, I guess from the BBC, one of the things I like to highlight is the success of the 150th birthday Colorado celebration. The festivities we held in the downtown district, all seem to be super successful. Our local celebrity, Woods was amazing. Awesome speaker. It was great to have, a dedicated facilitator. Want to give special thanks to Anna Lee for all of her commitment to volunteering and putting it not volunteering, but putting all the hard work into it throughout the whole day. I think this kind of really sets us up for a format of other weekend festivities we could do in the future that don't necessarily fit the bill that we have festivities we already do. So yeah, it was great.
Fabulous, thank you so much. All right, Wayne, I know you've been gone. I don't know if you want to say anything in Danish to us, but.
Hoping one other state.
I know, exactly. Well, required Danish, but okay. So no report for you. All right, Amanda?
I received an email today. Did you get the email from Cody? Did he email you too? So Cody, words of art, and I can't read it unfortunately because my phone is dead because I was using it for a spot. And I can't get on the town network, so I will send this email to everybody. Cody works with Freestone Strategies, who's our previous PR company, sends me an email this morning about a watershed workshop that they're doing for electeds, and I believe the day is August 25th. I apologize, I cannot be more accurate on the information. As soon as I am able to access the interwebs, I will forward that email to all of you, and so we can plan to attend and post it. And Clear Creek Semester starts tomorrow, so be on the lookout for videos in the morning and school zone adherence and all of that good stuff. And I think all this I missed parts, so I completely overlooked. I said, for at least I apologize.
Thank you. All right. Alex, any report?
Sure. This weekend was a surprise to Dwayne. We're working on another SIPS meeting end of September. Which hopefully we can do on a Monday night. We're kind of looking at the last Monday of September. Hopefully Sasha at the Alpine.
That possibly is the birthday, right?
Yeah.
So that's perfect.
Yeah.
28.
Oh, that's a good question. Oh my goodness, man.
Might top of that, Cooper.
Well,
Well, we'll figure out the method when it comes, but it's just a heads up for the moment. And then, I'm going to be away, in, what is the very well? Oh my goodness, a week's time, just over a week's time for 3 weeks. In the southern hemisphere, and so I'm essentially going to be missing 2. So I can be board meetings. Which. When they're occurring, I'm probably going to be on a plane. I'll try to be online, but I don't know whether I really need to do anything.
Right.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Great.
Chief Brown's. Met with Mary today and we have scheduled our next steps for September 1st. Secured the location at the Silver Queen condos. So we can, they have the community owned and we have that reserved on the night of September 1st. And some of the stuff on the agenda will be the possibility of this float house. Maybe if we can invite someone from Lakeview Flats to give us the update on the park across the street. I should look Braden. That would be cool if we could include him or someone to represent them to give an update on that park. And yeah, so confirm that today have to be met. And then they usually don't allow public meetings, but they're making an exception because we're nice and we're in town.
Yeah, I must be.
September 1st.
That's a
Tuesday.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, I believe the fire authority is meeting on Thursday. They're doing 2 meetings before August, before Jeremy leaves. And so our next meeting will get a little better what kind of direction that the fire authority boards would want for an interim fire person. And then I'm not sure when we're gonna be doing signs like for the bridges, or no fishing, paddleboard, walkway or whatever, but you may want to do a sign over there on the right, it's close to my house where folks are parking. And then it's hard for some of the locals then to bring their boards over, their kayaks and all that. I would suggest we do a, ramp for park for loading and unloading only. And there's plenty of parking to the side, so that would unlock a ramp, especially for some of our seniors that bring their equipment over. And I didn't know, those signs seem to help over there by the apartments. When you might put them up, for dog, picking up after your dogs. Across the footbridge, because it's getting pretty bad again already.
Maybe it was one of the signs last week.
Yeah, I don't know if I need, your permission, but like my wife wanted to take some of that leftover gray paint and paint over one of the signs on the backside of the lake. That says like no costly fit and no camping. I need to hear it though. Yeah, that would be another one to replace or at least. Fix it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that makes my report.
Great. Okay, Mary.
So I was just gonna piggyback on Mike's mention of Colorado Days. It was absolutely outstanding, and kudos to Anna for all the effort that we put into it. It was. I was there for part of the day representing HDI as a fundraiser in the dunk tank. And for those who were participating in the dunk tank, I was not in the dunk tank. You know, in the dunk tank. No, it was a cool one. It was profitable for our organization. I know it was profitable for the other nonprofits that had different things set up. I think it was actually pretty phenomenal for, the town and the community. I hope, the merchants already got some impact from that day. I hope it, led into all the stores and operations and everything. So, but I think it was a great approach to involve the different entities in this community, and then you guys did a.
The Boys and Girls Club,
Yeah, so thank you for that.
Yeah, that's the wife came out. Helping all that 40 gallons of paint in and,
That's why it's running a great show.
that 13 kids show up down the hill. Teenagers at 8 in the morning on a Saturday. Was pretty amazing, and there was no whining, no fussing. My wife actually got on the bus and thanked them for how exceptional they were. But they just got after it, and Smokey was just the out there and rolling out graffiti. And Greg mentioned something about having someone do another mural on those walls out there. But he's gonna bring that up with the Historic Lands Commission in our first meeting in May and September. To see it, that's really a good idea right now.
It'll come now, where you come from.
It's town property.
Yeah. I think the town should be thanking them that. Yes, they will. For your. One thing for your organization. You guys suggested we write a letter to that area practice stamping Boys and Girls Club, because it was so phenomenal that they all came up, it was really great. Thank you.
Fun project.
Mary, anything else? No. All right, very good, town, the planning report.
I previously reported on the acquisition for the library, which we're still waiting on the library to move forward, but there will happen. And the community center, they've been great job processing the documents side company weeks. And I'm gonna reach out to the side company this week or next and see what remaining little nits and nats side company has before we get closed.
Okay.
And we have covered the check for about $2.26. I mean,
Yes.
so, we're gonna find that money somewhere. We got the last stuff with some today. Oh, great, terrific. I'm up to date with the sergeant's training actually, and a new officer that they have, Tristan. He grew up in Idaho Springs actually, and he's their new training on deck. with the sort of ongoing work to get town ordinance matters enforced and taken through. You know, they are enforcing writing tickets, but the CCSO needs this spreadsheet showing all the town, the non-traffic offenses, and we work through formatting that to has to be done right, so it can be loaded into the computers or it's not on paper. But we made real progress and talked me through what their needs were and how I can help them with that. I also talked with Peter Littman yesterday, the town attorney, to coordinate the update for the model traffic, the county, so going to county model traffic code. And we're gonna update that, and I will likely have to come to the board to update the town's model traffic code so that they're the same, so that we'll just be using us in code citation to take it for, you know, 15 over speeding and things like that. So you'll see a little bit of work from me, or that you will need to approve as we move forward on that, but I was pleased to be able to work with the sheriff's office and up here today, that things that thing forward, or the PC, but we inch it forward. That's all.
All right, very good, thank you so much. Okay, in your packet, you have our staff reports. We'll start with the town clerk. Bridget, you provided a great report. Is there anything you wanted to highlight or add to this?
The only thing I'll add is, Jay's completed their application and that will be coming before you all, as well as a public hearing for their change of premises.
And what are you doing? What's the application for?
It's a change of premises, so it's a change to their liquor license to, include their back patio as part of their licensed area.
Is their front patio also already included in the?
That's already included, yeah.
Okay, so this is their back patio.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Can you confirm that all the postings have been done for the Dollar Tree tomorrow?
Yes.
All the different, for all the different commissions?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, next up, we have, Anna Lee was not here. She provided a great report. At the end of her report, she notes, some upticks in social media, which I think is always positive. That looks really good. We'll let her expand into that. We have our town treasurer, you. Here you are. With your report, anything you'd like to add or amplify or talk about? Any questions for Q?
So on STR compliance, I know there was an email that I'm gonna run with. For the resident of a illegal STR on Main Street. Where are we with that? I don't know if you're working on that or if you're working on that. You were in that thread from a week or so ago. But it's still continued activity.
Yes, I am working on it. They've been sent, the citation. And, we're in conversation with the property owner currently, just figuring out how to best handle the next step.
But it's my understanding that they wouldn't conform to our requirements to become a legal STR just because of the way their property is adjacent to other STRs.
Correct. And they were operating without a permit. So we sent them a citation letter. For some reason, it got returned to sender. So I sent it again as certified mail. So that citation letter, I sent that we got it back on Friday. I sent it on Monday. The certified. So I'm assuming they'll get that citation soon. In the meantime, the property owner sent an email outlining her impression of the timeline of their application process and all of that. And we're just trying to figure out how to reconcile all the pieces of this puzzle and that's appropriately.
You're talking about the timing pieces?
Timing, application processes. It's been the timeline for her started in 2024 when there was a bunch of turnover with the town and we're trying to navigate everything appropriately.
To see if she's legal?
No,
He's definitely not legal, but what are the consequences going to be? More or less, how are we going to handle this?
We kind of the surrounding properties
Well, she wasn't legal because she never got a permit.
Right, but
And she was never gonna get a permit.
Yeah, they wouldn't
Yeah.
be, they can't be confined under the current conditions, so it's not a matter of.
I got you. All right, thank you. Okay, Assistant Town Administrator, Katie, anything you'd like to add to your report?
Yes. First I wanted to just note that there were no code enforcement cases closed while I was in Pennsylvania, but we do expect, so there will be a number of posts in the next period. Cameron comes back on Thursday, so we will be a new round of citations and what's the next meeting. I also wanted to mention that the meter, our first one meter was installed for somebody today, and Ward 3 for residents who's had issues with this meter. I spoke with Accent today, and they're going to switch the fiber into the community center and the library, people is currently on so hopefully see that as part of the new budget. I did email the engineering about this, but Slate will be shutting off the water to big one across the apartments tomorrow for a few hours. They did. They're posting, at least they did yesterday on everybody's individual doors, so all of the residents should form back to. Thanks for letting us know. Yeah. And Mary, you mentioned the mural ordinance, so I did talk, Jerry and I talked about that, but there's really no way for us to police the content of it in any way, so it's kind of died for the time being. That's what that's, so unless you would like me to pursue allowing murals that you don't have any control over, which we could do, but I thought not, so.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What's our intent to replace Susan Edges, the minute taker, what's the deal with that?
With what?
Susan has resigned as our minute taker. She was our minute taker for Parks and for Design Review Commission. I will be doing minutes for the Design Review Commission and the Planning Commission, and Bridget will be doing Parks, Business Promotions.
And to characterize that as a recommendation was really not to request the permission.
She's like, it's quick,
But she put both purposely, I didn't know who were.
And we couldn't hold her hostage, I think.
Right.
Someone said.
Yeah.
It's for a while, with specifically the minutes taking applications that are widely available these days, but we not currently have the software or the hardware that allows us to use that application, which is also something we're gonna be doing research into.
Very good, thank you. Town Administrator Dennis.
I don't have much to report as I was out of the office last week. But there are two important things that I wanted to make sure I brought to your attention this evening, and that's a reminder that the local government training opportunity being done by DOLA is coming up tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at the community center. This is the presentation deck of all the information that Todd Leopold is going to be providing. There are going to be some breakout sessions and some practical application exercises, so it looks like it's going to be a very valuable training experience for you. I strongly urge anyone, we have sent out notices to everybody on our boards and commissions. And as Bridget noted, the public notices were done. So this would be very valuable to anyone, and we'll have the printed copy of the presentation available for anybody that wants to get one from the town hall, and it'll be available on the website. And then also secondly, I wanted to note that the work of the hydro team has been escalating a little last month or so, because Excel is getting a little bit more serious on their daily within the project. They have submitted 2 easement applications for the town. And if you haven't been through one of these easement processes before, Excel tries to coordinate the approval of the process and with extreme control, which means that they don't like to have any negotiation with the town. But That is definitely going to be coming up. Our negotiation will start with them, and so you might hear something from the grapevine that either the town is being a little too demanding or Excel isn't getting what they want. But please, bear with us on the process. The hydro team has a long-term strategy on these. And those priorities are protecting the environment, ensure that the town's receiving the proper remuneration for the use of our public lands. And also to protect the citizens of the community in terms of truck traffic going up Window Pass, and also the potential impact on our water system, because when they install the new bypass, that will change the hydraulics of the water from Clear Creek going into our water intake, and so we're gonna have to accommodate that as well. So I just wanted to know that that's progressed. Answer any questions that you might have.
The engineering work on town hall, it sounds like new town hall or old town hall?
New tackle.
Just on a side note, we get asked if you could put a spirit Halloween in the community center, and I said no.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll have a meeting scheduled for him tomorrow, and I can say that.
All right, is 8:06, do I have a I didn't think right now. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.